15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Takes the snap, quick hitter, thrown behind, but somehow caught, and now lateral to Allen, and reaching for the pylon. Are you kidding me? It's a touchdown! Unbelievable!
The old Allen to Cooper to Allen play that we have never seen before. Hey, welcome to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Big win for my Bills last night, so everyone's in a good mood around here. A lot of our teams won yesterday. But Josh Allen had his MVP moment yesterday. That really was not the story, though. Bills do clinch the AFC East, clinch a playoff berth, obviously. But that really wasn't the story. I think the story of the game, Perloff, was this was the end of the 49ers season. And, you know, we have plenty of time now to talk about the Bills. They've got 5 more games left to go. But for the 49ers, Christian McCaffrey does something, has an injury to his PCL, an injury to his knee in the snow. He had been gangbusters in this game. Looked like he was on his way to maybe a career day in the snow in Buffalo, but he gets hurt. Nothing has gone right for the 49ers.
Well, to be fair, when he got hurt, they had 3 points. It wasn't exactly like they were light up to score. They have probably the worst special teams unit in the league.
It's possible. He had his longest run of the season, though, in that game.
Right. But they weren't doing, I mean, they can't score. So even with him. And then Jordan Mason came in and was just as effective. Nobody could stop the run last night because nobody had footing. So I'm not sure you might even throw out that result. Forget McCaffrey. What is Purdy doing out there? He's done. He cannot throw. When he throws the ball 18 yards downfield, he looks like he has to use every ounce of his body. His shoulders hurt. I don't know what that's going on. And all that being said, what's the number one problem on this team?
The defense.
They stink. Well, obviously Bosa is the issue, but
no Bosa last night. Obviously Hargrave's been on IR. Hufanga's been on IR.
Yeah.
You also had no Diamador Lenore last night. Trent Williams on the offensive side was out. Ayuk has been on IR. I mean, it's just been
one of those years.
One of those years that you're right about Purdy. Now I get why he was out there. He's the starting quarterback. If he's going to give it a go, you got to let him.
You 100% should have gone Josh Dobbs. That was a huge mistake by Shanahan because Dobbs could have run. Nobody could tackle anybody. Like, what was the point? Purdy wasn't going to run. He should have gone Dobbs. Purdy wouldn't even throw the ball in most of the attempts.
Listen, that's not what I was hearing before the game. Before the game, it was he's out there, he's warming up, he's going to gut it out. We generally see that as positive qualities for people. It's a starting quarterback. He should get the chance to start and play. 94 yards passing, though, not going to get it done.
Well, I'm just saying you should have gone with a full running quarterback last night because Purdy would, first of all, we don't know if he could throw downfield because he never tried. He clearly was favoring his shoulder. There was no way he was going to do anything. You're right. With McCaffrey starting out like that, then Jordan Mason coming in and doing the same exact thing, they should have had at least 20 points. They scored 10 points.
You know, it's funny because you and I have at times disagreed about this. Other times we've agreed because obviously things change all the time. But the idea that the 49ers window is closing. Now, we're going to all find out together about the window, but I think why people are nervous about this is because, anytime a team gets close in multiple years and then has a season like this, yes, a lot due to injury, but you wonder, all right, what changes are coming? Before we get to the window being closed, what changes are coming to try to get this team and try to get this defense a little bit more stout? You had Fred Warner, who's been playing on a bad ankle since week 4, had to leave the game last night because of cramping, and while he's off the field, what happens? A James Cook 65-yard touchdown. Now, I don't know if he would have been the difference on that play, but obviously he was missing out there, and he's been a shell of himself.
Yeah.
But what happens when guys do have an offseason to get healthy? How do you fix the injuries? How do you fix the vibe, too? Because this offseason was not just about injuries. It was about holdouts. It was about things that cause negative, some self-inflicted, some not. It was just about negativity. It felt like there was a shadow over this team.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you how you fix it. You fire the special teams coach, bring a new special teams coach. That's a huge upgrade immediately.
Yeah.
Get rid of Jake Moody. That's number 2.
You drafted him. You are sure you can get rid of him?
Oh, my God. You should have cut him in week 3. That's a definite.
Wow.
And you fire Sorensen, the defensive coordinator, immediately. I know it's been a lot of defensive coordinators. You beg Robert Saleh to come back in the building. I hate to look backward to move forward, but then you probably, I hate to, I don't know where the money comes from, but you have to sign a pass rusher opposite Bosa. And then, boom, maybe you're back in business again. You're really good at drafting defense. You know, you mentioned Hufanga. They got him in the 5th round.
Yep.
Bring in reinforcements for that. Then next year, bang, you hit him with Jordan Mason and Isaac Orendo on every play. And you just get back to smash mouth running the football. I know you probably...
What do you do with McCaffrey?
I guess McCaffrey might give it a go next year, but he's... Either way, it doesn't really matter. It's a Kyle Shanahan system. You're going to be able to run the ball. So I'm not really worried about McCaffrey. It's defense. Because think about last night. You're a Bills fan.
Yeah.
Was there any point where you worried that the Niners was going to take the ball away from them? Or
no.
they weren't even. Not only are they not going to turn over,
no.
they weren't within 50 miles of it. They are completely tepid. They're
To be
totally
fair, though,
harmless.
and I'm going to knock on wood here.
Yeah.
That game, turnovers could happen in really weird ways. Like, listen, the ball got punched out the goal line, you know?
That wasn't weird. That was a terribly run play.
But I'm just saying, in a snow game like that, you're expecting weird things could happen in terms of turnovers. So maybe take that game out of it. But to be fair, the Bills haven't really turned the ball over this year. That's been one of the big changes. Josh Allen, knock on wood, no longer fumbling, not throwing interceptions like he used to. And knock on wood again, the running backs just don't turn the ball over. This has been a clean season like for the Bills in terms of turnovers. So
Fair,
this
but
is going to be
still,
a tough team to get right if you're talking about turnovers. That's not been a weakness of this team.
Regardless, like the Niners are completely harmless. Like, is there any time where Josh Allen dropped back and was like scared of the pass rush?
No, he had all day back there.
Yeah, no. The Niners are not the same team, which is it happens. I mean, look, you listed the injuries, so this is done. I think the question is the window closed. I think they can. They have a lot of talent there. I think they can regroup. I would, get rid of Debo. Probably bring back Kittle if you can. I mean, tight end. Is age a thing? Does it matter?
I don't know.
What's the harm if you have an old tight end?
Listen, here's the 2 biggest questions, and I don't think that these are in doubt, but if either of them are, then we could be looking at something really, really different. Number 1, are you slam dunk paying Purdy? I think yes. I think this did not become a thing until very recently, and Purdy is hurt, and I don't think he's the reason why this team is bad, okay, this year. And number 2, what happens with Shanahan? Now, I don't think you and I ever thought that Kyle Shanahan was going anywhere until we talked to Shereen Williams, who told us, you never know. And she's been covering the league for 30 years. She's not a hot taker. So those are the 2 big things to me. Yes, defensive coordinator. Yes, special teams. All the things you said. Some personnel changes. But are you paying Purdy? And what is Kyle Shanahan? How does he feel about this team?
I think you're going to get a bargain on Purdy. I think you're going to get him for $48 million a year. I think
Wow. Why, though?
maybe well, I mean, the question is if I said 48. So you'll get him on the low end of the 50s compared to the high end of the 50s. And if he doesn't, honestly, if he doesn't want to do that, then just move on to somebody else. It doesn't matter. It's Shanahan's system. He can turn anybody into something. Those guys turn Matt Schaub into a 4,800-yard passer. So I don't think that Purdy has any leverage here, especially coming off this year. Also, too, they're not firing Shanahan. If they do, that's insane.
I don't think they would fire him. I really don't. And I would just be so shocked if he wanted to move on or if they wanted to move on. But again, we don't know. And sometimes you combine double Super Bowl. There's been 2 Super Bowl hangovers that this team has had to deal with. And on top of that, a bad season. Like, I don't know where he would go. I don't know what the better option is. When seasons like this happen, it kind of feels like everything has to be reevaluated. I don't think the coach is one of them, but they did blow a lot of leads late again. This has been the signature now for Kyle Shanahan.
But last time they had the Super Bowl hangover, they didn't evaluate anything. They just ran it back. Nick Bosa got healthy and they killed everyone.
No, remember, it wasn't exactly
like that.
They
were 10-7, but
remember, they really tried to change things up with Trey Lance. I think they panicked a little bit. Remember, they traded up twice in that draft in the first round, and they were not even sure who they were going to take.
That's true.
Remember, it was going to be Mac Jones, and I don't know.
Next season, they went 6-10 after going to the Super Bowl.
Right, and I think they panicked. I think they thought, oh, the rest of the league is caught up with us. They understand because there's so many former Shanahan assistants out there who are littered as head coaches now. Everyone's got our number, and we've got to try to change this up. Let's go to a running quarterback. That will be different. That will be the next iteration. That will be the 2.0 version of this, or the 3.0 version. And obviously, they picked the wrong guy.
Well, and then remember what happened. They came out and they just destroyed everybody defensively. Like, that's the irony. It's like kind of like a Brian Billick situation. Like, their defense was the monster, not their offense. McCaffrey was, when he finally got there, was good. By the way, it's so funny that year that the 2020, when they finished 6-10, they were 5-6 and played Buffalo. Like, same exact spot. This year, 5-6 played Buffalo, and then the wheels completely fell off. They basically won one more game. So I think that's clearly what's happening here. I am not giving up on them. I think next year they could be really good. I really like Isaac Orendo and Jordan Mason. I just feel like, and maybe you get a little McCaffrey, like they could have a violent running attack. If you just get Bosa and another real defense, like in Pittsburgh, the way they have two bookends coming at the quarterback, I think you can fix this defense.
855-212-4227. Window closing on the San Francisco 49ers and what has just been a disaster of a season. I mean, the injuries just piling up. Seattle won yesterday. The Rams won yesterday. Arizona lost. But this season just feels like it's been, I don't want to say done from the beginning, because that would just be a little too hindsight and Monday morning quarterback it. But, I mean, everything that could go wrong has gone wrong, outside of just straight up losing your quarterback.
I mean, the first part of the season was mostly special teams, kickoff returns, missed field goals.
The whole league's missing field goals, though.
The
PATs,
Niners,
field goals. Nobody can make a kick. So they're just one of the teams that can't make a kick. And Moody missed 2 yesterday. But how about this? Apparently, according to Matt Barrow, who covers the league, who was tweeting last night during the game, Moody was missing in that direction during pregame before the snow even really started. So maybe don't have him kick a 48-yarder into that way, like into that side of the end zone, when he apparently couldn't hit them in the pregame. Maybe that's just me.
Well, this again, this season's done, and now there are real serious questions here in the offseason. I mean, Purdy, you really think he's going to get Dak Prescott money plus?
I do. I think whoever's up next gets the money. I saw Tua get the money. I saw Trevor Lawrence get the money. I'm seeing guys who were not.
Well, Tua got a little less.
He's still getting, how much guaranteed was there?
I mean, way less than Dak, right?
We'd have to double check that.
Yeah.
Because I think Tua was right around the number. I don't know if Purdy's going to smash records, but I think he's going to be within the top 5. I don't think he's taking this big discount. $45 million. That's like the Daniel Jones, Geno Smith situation.
Yeah, I mean, Baker is $30 million was the ultimate bargain. So Dak Prescott got 4 years, $240 million. I just do not see that happening. And if the Niners do that, God bless them.
Purdy's gotten further than Dak Prescott in the playoffs.
No, I know. The Dak Prescott thing, believe me, that was not a model of a successful contract.
We talked about that for a while.
Yeah. No, I'm not saying like, that was a good contract. I think all these contracts were bad. Trevor Lawrence now looks terrible. Tua terrible.
Trevor Lawrence carted off the field yesterday after taking a big hit while he was sliding. We'll get to that.
There will be, I mean, I hate to say it, it looks like there could be a correction on quarterback contracts based on how bad this crew did. Terrible. Jordan Love looks good, though.
Sorry about it. By the way, Tua had a 4-year, $212 million contract with $167 million guaranteed.
Feels like a lot. Feels like top of the market. It's not top of the Deshaun Watson guarantee, which is another terrible quarterback. I just think if I'm Purdy's agents, I'm like, wait a minute. Now we're doing the course correction when it comes from my guy. You know, this is a guy who took over, went to an NFC Championship game, got hurt in it. Not his fault they lost that game. He basically had to play with his elbow ripped off the bone, and then got to a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, Kyle Shanahan will move on faster than anyone. He had a very successful quarterback in Jimmy Garoppolo and said, nope. And then he had Trey Lance, moved on almost immediately from him. He falls in and out of love. It would make sense for him to move on from Purdy, too, because just the way he is. What was wrong with Jimmy G when they got to the Super Bowl, except he threw the ball about a foot high on every
I
pass?
was going to say the accuracy. 855-212-4227. Okay, so we're doing a little early postmortem on the 49ers. I was wondering if their plane got out last night. Did anyone see any stories about that? The snow was insane. I know they're used to it up in Buffalo, but still, that's enough to close an airport. So Purdy and Kyle Shanahan, are they both back next year? Be number one. And number two, is the window closed for the 49ers? 855-212-4227. All right. This is a particularly packed Monday. We've got so much college football to unpack, let alone everything that happened yesterday in the NFL, everything that happened Black Friday in the NFL, Thanksgiving. We all haven't been together since last Wednesday. So we got a lot to do. If you want to talk about your team, though, and make sure we talk about your team, 855-212-4227. We got to talk about Ohio State, Michigan. How? Just how in the world did that happen? And what does it mean for Ohio State in the college football playoff? That and your calls next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining.
sees them, don't need no filter. Two bum clowns, no knowledge, can't build a winner. Maggie and Perloff, nah, they're just noise. Jamie's got the truth, dropping bombs on the boys. Every take they make, Jamie tears it apart. Stick to the basics, this game ain't art. Bombs, every one of you fools. Jets are the best, let me take you to school. Aaron Rodgers for MVP, can't you see? Number one seed, top of the AFC. Maggie says, hold up, Perloff's got a stat, but Jamie's in the chat, ready to attack. Nope, you're wrong, don't even try. Jets to the bowl, you don't qualify. Think you're smart cause you got a show, but Jamie's got the knowledge that you'll never know. Every comment a dagger, every take gets wrecked. In the world of football, Jamie's got respect. Bombs, every one of you fools. Jets are the best, let me take you to school. Aaron Rodgers for MVP, can't you see? Number one seed, top of the AFC. Two clowns, one screen, no football IQ.
All right, welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. Here's the big question about Ohio State losing to Michigan. This is my one question. This is what I want to know, Maggie. I want you to get inside the head of Ryan Day,
Oof.
the embattled Ohio State coach.
Got any vodka?
Was he trying to prove something by running the ball against Michigan, or was that a strategic thing? Like, was he trying to man up and show that he's as tough as Jim Harbaugh and run the ball all over Michigan? Was this a macho thing?
No.
Then explain why, when going outside worked, throwing the ball downfield worked, why you kept running in between the tackles when you had a massive, massive disadvantage.
I think that what happened at the end of the game, I think they were trying to run. I don't know if they were going to run the clock out, but they were trying to leave as little time as possible and go on this really long drive. And they thought they were going to kick a field goal and win the game that way. I think as the game started going on, because they were throwing it in the first half, they were throwing it, especially at the end of the first half. They go on this incredible drive to score a touchdown and tie the game at 10. So they were throwing the ball. Will Howard also threw a couple interceptions.
Yeah.
One that kind of looked like it was going to be almost like Penn State when he threw the early pick six. This one was backed up in your own end zone. He throws the pick, but Michigan's not able to capitalize. No, I'm sorry. Michigan scored a touchdown. The second one, Michigan wasn't able to capitalize because Ohio State turned the ball over right back with Caleb Downs, but they couldn't score. I think he was trying to play this clock management thing.
They didn't score in the second half, Maggie.
I'm telling you, I think they were trying to go on these long drives and trying to walk away with one and almost steal it.
You know why Will Howard didn't have a big day? Because he was on 3rd and 9. The handoff started in the first half. The uncreative handoffs, the long down and distances they should have put this away in the first half. They just, for some reason, refused to call any creative plays. It was bizarre. I don't know what Chip Kelly, I guess, calls plays like, maybe those plays worked in 2008 at Oregon. They did not work on Saturday. It was mind-boggling that they did not throw the ball to Jeremiah Smith-Moore. It was absolutely stunning because Michigan didn't have their all-world cornerback, and Michigan has one major advantage, and it's the three monsters in the middle of their defensive line. So let's just run it at them every time. It was a crazy, crazy strategy. Yeah,
so Judkins had 12 carries for 46 yards. Travion Henderson had 10 carries for 21 yards, but Will Howard had 33 pass attempts. As opposed to Davis Ward, who had 16. I mean, Michigan can't throw the ball. We know Michigan can't throw the ball. That's why Khalil Mullings had 32 carries for 116 yards. I think that Ryan Day was trying to do this weird bleed the clock thing. And it was not working. It was not working because they, as you said, they couldn't score. They're missing field goals. They just completely went inept. And here's the other part. The offensive line has gotten injuries, all banged up, and Michigan's defensive line is the clear strength of that team outside of Mullings running the ball, and they took advantage. Will Howard was not comfortable.
What do you mean he wasn't comfortable? Yeah, he wasn't comfortable because he was handing the ball off at the entire second half. It was. I don't see that game the same way. I feel like it was a massive strategic failure.
Oh, It was. I'm not saying that it wasn't a massive strategic failure. You're asking me what was Ryan Day thinking.
No,
I'm telling you this is what I think he was thinking. And I think the bigger question is whether Ryan Day is going to be an employee of the Ohio State University come next year. Now, they've got everything in front of them, so to speak. They're still going to be in the college football playoff. They're going to fall, though, pretty far down. Not totally guaranteed they're going to be hosting a first-round game.
Yeah.
Have to see how the championship games go. But they still have time to make up for this egregious error, this horrible moment. I just don't think they look like a title contender at all.
Well, remember when they lost to Michigan a couple years ago, and then they came out and played really well against Georgia. Justin Fields had the game of his life. So maybe they turn around like that. Say they don't win the title, or say they don't make the title game. I think this will be the first time where a college coach is going to be fired, and they're going to cite the payroll of the team. They have the most expensive team in the league, $20 million. They're like, well, what are we getting for this investment? 10 points, 0 points in the second half against Michigan. They have to have the most expensive offense. They should, because I'd be paying Jeremiah Smith, Egbuka, and Carnell Tate. Like, you can't not score in the second half at home.
Oh, this is a failure, a massive failure. The question is, can they regroup and still make something of this season? Because if they lose in the first round or maybe even the second round, I think it's possible Ryan Day is totally gone. And I don't know if it's just because this particular team in this payroll, although you make a great point. I think it's all of it. It's the 1-4 record against Michigan. It's the fact that you've lost 3 straight.
Sure.
It's the fact that this is not a good Michigan team. You can chalk up last year to, all right, they were the national champions. You know, you can chalk up the year before, all right, they were a top 4 college football playoff team. Maybe you can squint and see it. This is a team that came in, they were 6-5, the record. I mean, this was not a good team that can't throw the ball, extremely one-dimensional, not nearly the type of dudes that they had last year, even though the defense is very good for Michigan. But this is the most unforgivable just because of Michigan being down this year.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. They do have a chance. The one thing about the playoff, like, everybody's kind of flawed. You saw, was there anybody except for Oregon who's looked consistently good?
No.
And the other thing is they can't just run into the line in the play. I think the AD and the entire state of Ohio is going to come down and say, you better throw that ball. You have the one of the top 2 or 3 receivers in football, and Jeremiah Smith. Just throw it. Just throw 25, 50 balls and see what happens. I don't think they can possibly run this back. We saw this earlier in the year where there was a game where Travion Henderson was getting no space at all, getting tackled to the line every time, and they just kept hammering it home. So I think they have to learn this lesson, right? Like, Ryan Day is not brain dead. He cannot possibly try and force a run, and they'll probably have some easy matchups. Like, everybody's flawed. Every single team in this top 12 is going to be super flawed, but they're very flawed.
Oh, you mean it shouldn't take 8 overtimes to beat Georgia Tech
Oh,
if you're
my
Georgia?
God.
That was the game that wouldn't end. That's the game where it's like, I really don't want to be awake right now, but I got to see how this thing ends. We talk around here a lot about whether a close game necessarily means it's a good game. I think that's one of those where it's like, just end this game.
I mean,
that was brutal.
Wait, if you're not betting on, like, what if they face Penn State? Like, what are the odds of Penn State finally being a top 10 team now? 0.
Oh, no, I don't think so. But you're asking me who looks good.
Indiana?
I don't think Georgia looks good.
Indiana doesn't look good. Notre Dame, who knows? Have they played
10 in a row?
Have they played anyone above a high school level team yet? I think Ohio State's favored by 5 against Notre Dame. So that, again, SMU is the one team that scares me out of this entire field. They look awesome.
Honestly, the one team in the whole country I don't want to play right now is probably South Carolina, but I don't even think they're getting in.
Oh, my God. South Carolina should have lost by 30. Clemson, Dabo is talking about passing you by. I mean, Clemson had a stranglehold on that game, too. No, South Carolina's fine. South Carolina, that offense is not going to beat you either. Ohio State can handle that.
Their defense is really good. 855-212-4227. We have a lot of college football to get to, and do you think Ryan Day should be back at head coach for Ohio State?
I'd like to know where Lou Holtz is right now.
Man, we're far away from that. We'll play you some Ryan Day sound coming up later in the show about just how tight he may have been for this game.
You mean this game? You mean his entire run at Ohio State?
Yeah, sure, something like that.
Well, if tight for this game, what's the big game he's won?
He's Penn
done.
State.
He's done. Oh, my God, who cares? He's so done. Even if he wins the title, I'd fire him.
Perloff just dropping the axe.
I just couldn't believe. I mean, just look at that team when all 16 of those guys are in the Pro Bowl game in 3 years. We'll be like, how did that team not win?
It's a great question.
16. That's a random number I just pulled out of nowhere.
That's a lot of Pro Bowlers. Andrew Bogish is here. We see you guys on the phones. You want to talk 49ers. We want to do that as well. 49ers with a loss. Felt like the season ended last night in the snow in Buffalo. Bogish is here. Good morning, Bogues.
Guys, good morning. Your headlines are sponsored by Mint Mobile. Switch and get half off unlimited premium wireless at mintmobile.com/score. The Bills clinched the AFC East last night. The Panthers clinched something else in the afternoon.
Under center now, Bryce Young, a little more conservative look. In motion, David Moore to the right. They'll hand the ball off to Chuba Hubbard. Hubbard skips and hops over one defender. Hey, fumble the football! Fumble the football! It's loose! It's loose! It's recovered by Tampa Bay! Yaya Diaby recovers the fumble. And the Buccaneers have life in overtime with 5:03 to go.
Whoops. Gene Deckerhoff on Bucks Radio. The Panthers were driving to win in OT after Tampa's Chase McLaughlin missed a field goal to start extra time. But the Chuba Hubbard fumble eventually gave McLaughlin a second chance. He hit from 30 for a 26-23 Buccaneer win. Carolina clinching its 7th consecutive losing season.
Can I say I feel bad?
For who?
Just this slow. It's like the Titanic, watching how slowly the Panthers are with colliding with bringing Bryce Young back to start next year.
Oh, he's coming back.
They scored 23 points against a beat-up Bucs team. Like, come on. Why is this celebration of Bryce Young?
Because he had that game-tying touchdown drive. There's life.
Oh, my
Put some respect
God.
on his name, Perloff.
Yeah, you're talking about a guy, EJ, yesterday tweeting that the entire NFL missed on not prying him out of Carolina while he was benched.
Giants.
And you're saying it's nothing?
Miami.
And wait, okay, so they scored 23 yesterday. That is like they scored 20 against the Giants. I think the 5 of us get 6 more guys. We could put 20 up on the Giants.
How much they scored on the Chiefs?
The game was in Germany.
How much they scored on the Chiefs?
27. The Chiefs are barely even paying attention. They didn't even know there was a game going on. I think they're playing 9 guys on half their staff. The Chiefs. I mean, that's another team we could beat right now. Honestly, just wait. You really? I mean, Bryce Young, like this is his comeback trail. The guy scored 23 points yesterday, and like a lot of them were at the end.
He's playing with nobody, Pearl. You acting like he's playing with
got
the
Adam
freaking
Thielen
greatest.
making circus catches left
Adam
and right.
Thielen's like 50 years old, bro. Like he's playing with nobody, and he's making the Panthers a competitive team.
Here's the thing that's saving Bryce Young. I didn't know EJ felt this way about Bryce Young, but this is what's saving Bryce Young. I'm watching these college quarterbacks. I'm like, nope, no. Maybe Shador. Maybe Cam Ward, maybe. But how many points do you have to be staked to keep a lead?
That's not on him. That's the defense. You can be started on that.
I mean, Cam Ward is better left-handed than Bryce Young. Bryce Young's stats on the year: 6 touchdowns, 6 picks.
Well, he didn't play the whole year.
What's
But
his
even in this
number?
little run, he hasn't been that good.
What's his numbers after he got benched? Playing pretty well.
I mean, honestly, he had 171 yards, 126 yards passing in the win over the Giants, 126.
Listen, he's doing this all without Jonathan Mingo. How's he supposed to do?
Exactly.
Just kidding. Got to sideswipe the Cowboys there.
Superstar.
This is too easy. I have another question off of yesterday, but Bogues, get back to it.
We'll get to those Bills. They're division champs after a 35-10 romp over the Niners in the snow in Buffalo on Sunday Night Football. Sean McDermott's team, the first since 2009 to clinch with 5 games left in the season.
Being 50 years old, 20-plus years in this league, I've learned to try and enjoy the moments, and this is a moment, right? And then after that, tomorrow move forward and turn the page.
But before we turn the page, let's celebrate Josh Allen recording touchdowns, passing, running, and receiving last night. The Niners, meanwhile, dropped their 3rd in a row and are dealing with another Christian McCaffrey injury. This one might be a season-ending EJ or a PCL injury.
Bogues.
No, that wasn't your PCL.
I didn't have a PCL.
You'd kill to have a PCL.
Whatever knee injury now
What did
is
you
now
have?
associated with EJ, though.
An LCL, MCL? Which CL did you hurt?
Patellar tendon injury.
Oh, it's the same thing.
Definitely
really.
not.
That's
I would
close enough.
give
There's a
my
P
left arm.
involved. That's all I need.
I'd give my left arm to have a PCL injury. This patellar tendon, my doctor was like, good luck ever playing football or anything again.
Well, good thing you didn't play.
That's true.
That's
Did you guys
jokes
also?
on him.
It looked like everyone thought it was his ACL, which would have been pretty much retirement, right? Because he wouldn't even be back for next year.
I saw a lot of his calf kind of blowing up a little bit,
People
too.
thought it was Achilles.
But it was actually the play before he went down.
Yeah. That's what they think.
That's what they think. Yeah.
That was not good.
No.
But honestly, is anybody surprised that McCaffrey wore down?
No,
I'm not.
Yeah.
No, I mean the guy had Achilles tendonitis, and then it spread to both legs, and he tried everything to get back on the field. But this is silly to play him again.
They used him up last year, just like the Eagles are using up Saquon Barkley this year. It's kind of the way it works. Like after a heavy season, McCaffrey always gets hurt.
Yeah, they just made a mistake where usually if you're quote unquote using a guy up, you don't give him a big raise at the end of the year.
I've been thinking about it. I think that was a reward. I think that was you just been.
How often does that happen?
It was $4 million.
He was already the highest paid running back, and this is a team with major cap problems.
I honestly think that was, I don't know. I mean, what's the difference? $4 million? I mean, Dak Prescott's getting 60.
I keep telling you guys, that was a wedding gift.
I agree with EJ.
That was his way. Hey, are you going to get married? Oh, it looks very expensive. All right, here's $4 million.
Great. What are the Bills going to get Josh Allen? Sheesh. By the way, nice setup on the engagement photo, and I love how they had a report last night from Melissa Stark that said, was she surprised? Yeah, she was stunned. It's what? That wedding looked like a movie set. Surprised how?
Yeah, she didn't notice the big setting.
Yeah, wear this dress, stand under the flowers. What's happening? I don't know.
Their engagement was nicer than most of our weddings.
Was anyone else confused at how beautiful the weather was? Being was he in Buffalo this week? Then you realize they had a bye week the week before. Because I was where the hell did they shoot this?
No.
Was that a green screen? I think they were in California last week.
No, Malibu.
That was Malibu? Oh, jeez.
You mean to tell me that wasn't Depew, New York?
It's beautiful this time of year.
Pearl mentioned Saquon Barkley. He and the Eagles are still red hot. A 24-19 win in Baltimore. They've won 8 in a row. Barkley 107 and a score. The Steelers won a shootout in Cincinnati, 44-38. Russell Wilson throwing for 414 and 3 scores. Jaden Daniels accounting for 4 touchdowns as the Commanders roughed up the Titans 42-19. You want to throw your NFL thought in here, Maggie?
Sure. First of all, I can't believe Russell Wilson had 5. He threw for 414 yards yesterday.
Yeah.
The Bengals, another season that's over. It's not just the 49ers. Yesterday seemed like curtains on the Bengals, although they could play spoiler a little bit coming up in these last 5 games. Here's my question for you guys. Maybe it's a little early for this one. The kicking situation is just atrocious, right? We all acknowledge this in the NFL. If you needed right now one kicker for your life, to save your life, the answer is not Justin Tucker anymore. He can't hit one. And so I'm giving you the field goals between 40 and 50 yards. It's outdoors, mild weather, but still outdoors.
Yeah.
Well, who is the person? It's got to be Chris Boswell? I have no idea. Who's the kicker to save your life?
They keep saying Boswell's leading every stat this year. There's got to be a couple more that are good, right?
Fairbairn's missing him.
Yeah, he's a mess too.
Koo's been bad too.
Who's that?
Younghoe Koo.
Yeah.
Koo missed one.
Jake Elliott's been bad.
How about Brandon Aubrey?
He's good.
Yeah, he was my other pick.
Cowboys
he's missed
kicker?
some too, but he's still got a leg.
2 years ago, I mean, I would have thought Jake Elliott and Evan McPherson were the 2 best kickers ever, and they both have lost it. McPherson's totally lost it. Remember the money sign?
But what's going on? They're all struggling.
I told you, it's
the
a high
ball
mind.
different?
When Tucker struggled, everyone's like, well, if that guy's missing him, then I don't have the confidence.
I don't have there's not a better explanation.
I mean, here's the question, everyone, do they cut? Do they move? They sign somebody in Baltimore. But actually, his numbers aren't that bad.
They have to bring someone in for some kind of competition, but at the same time.
I don't know.
So some guy's going to have a good afternoon in Baltimore, and you're going to say goodbye to your first valid Hall of Famer?
No, I think also, too, if you bring in someone, does that further erode his confidence? I would think so.
To answer Brogus' question, I wonder if this is like a baseball thing where too many guys are trying to hit home runs. Everyone has the leg to hit from 60. Are these guys just not good in terms of hitting for accuracy? They're all going for power.
Well, here's the part. If you are Gerard Mayo, asking your kicker to hit a 68-yarder outside,
do you know
how want to rethink that
we
one.
were arguing about that? I mean, Scott Hansen on Red Sox kept saying that was literally 1 yard away from going in. 1 yard, and he hit a 63 earlier. That was crazy close.
But 63 is not 68. That's
That
an
would
insane thing
that would
to
have
ask
gone in
someone to
from
do.
65.
Throw a Hail Mary. Do a pitchy woo-woo.
I mean,
68-yarder?
if you're
What
a
the hell
Colts
are you
fan,
thinking?
It missed by a yard, 3 feet. Like it was as close as you and I are right now.
Perloff, it's not the moon. It's not Denver. There's no shot that guy was making it.
What do you mean no shot? It missed by 3 feet.
And why
Maggie.
did it miss? Not because it was wide.
It was 3 feet short. So
it was
if
short.
If
he
he
can't hit it.
If he got 1% longer, then it's in. I mean, it probably would have gone in from 65. It was not that far off.
Right, so 66 yards is good, but 68 is impossible? Preposterous?
I think 68 is just asking someone to basically break the record. You're asking, what's his name? Andy Sly?
Joey Sly.
Joey Sly.
Andy Van Slyke is not. No, I don't know. He's not.
I'll give you
that
the
was
weather.
not happening.
Give you the weather. But, I mean, obviously, he could hit a 68-yard field goal. He's hit a 63 on week 4. These guys easily can hit. Like, they've hit 60. The 63 probably. That's not out of reach anymore at all. I mean, Aubrey is definitely going to hit. That's like a chip shot for Brandon Aubrey.
But, okay, that's Brandon Aubrey, who might be right now the kicker you would most trust with your life on the line for a kick. Joey Sly, not that guy.
I think Sly might have the biggest leg, though. I think he's totally up there. He apparently puts on pregame shows. He's a monster.
I think this was his best kick possible. He was never going to make this.
He was never going to make it.
I think he kicked a perfect kick, and he was still like a yard or two short.
It's just not going to happen. But maybe that's a question we can put on our X account at Maggie and Pearl. One kicker, current. It's got to be current. We can't go back to Vinatieri or something. For your life.
Somebody mentioned this yesterday. Did Vinatieri have a terrible last year? I don't remember that. He just like completely fell apart too?
Awful. It was sad. It's Justin Tucker again.
I don't think anyone noticed, though, because the Colts were on like quarterback 4 at that point. I think moving on from Andrew Luck.
Joey Sly, I think it was a chip shot that cost him the game yesterday. Let's not forget about that. And let's not forget about Hunter Henry dropping the ball at the end zone. Like the Patriots, if they are tanking for a good draft spot, they did a wonderful job yesterday because they had that win sewed up.
10 commanders that are out there in the NFL right now, these guys are elite.
Tank commanders.
Commanders.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers, Antonio Pierce, whoever that left guard was on the Raiders. Matt Eberflus. I don't know why they fired him. They should have just kept him. These are some elite tank commanders. If you want these guys are on your squad, you're good money. Gerard Mayo. I mean, this is some legendary stuff happening.
Peterson.
Doug Peterson.
Why the left guard of the Raiders was not. You can't blame that guy.
Oh, the right guard, I meant. Sorry. Whoever the guy was that
tapped
the
center and the quarterback.
The right guard was the guy who tapped the center to snap the ball.
We'll talk about that game. That was a debacle. Bears was a terrible loss. Raiders was a terrible loss. I mean, because of how it went down, probably better for their draft position. 855-212-4227. Folks, thank you. Coming up, see you guys on the phones. You want to talk about the 49ers. Is the window closed now? Feels like the season definitely over for the 49ers. Just too many injuries. Coming up next, we'll ask an all-important NFL question. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Comments, who's dropping the knowledge? It's Dr. Daly, straight out of Penn college. Maggie says that ankle looks rough. Perloff's like, nah, it's just a little scuff. But Daly's in the chat and he's got the facts. Forget your sprains, it's the patella that cracks. Dropping wisdom bombs, leaving no doubt. When that tendon goes, you're tapping out. Patella tendon snapping, it's way, way worse. Says Dr. Daly with a YouTube nurse. Forget that sprained ankle or a little bruise. When the tendon pops, you've got everything to lose. Perloff limps in with an ice pack in hand. Think it's just sore, I can still make a stand. But Daly replies with a clinical tone. Buddy, you're lucky you didn't need a new bone. Maggie's like, come on, it's just a little twist. Daly's already typing, you might need a list of surgeons, crutches, and months of rest. Because patella snap, they're the absolute best. Patella tendon snapping, it's way, way worse. Says Dr. Daly with a YouTube curse. Forget Achilles or a torn up knee. Patella popping pain is the real misery. So if you're watching sports and you hear that crack, Don't Google it, just don't look back. Trust Dr. Daly, he knows it all. When the patella snaps, you're gonna crawl. Patella tendon snapping, it's way, way worse. Says Dr. Daly in the YouTube universe. Maggie and Perloff take his advice, because that snapping sound ain't nothing nice. So here's the Dr. Daly, the tendon king, dropping injury facts like it's his favorite thing. If you're in the chat, better listen well. When the patella snaps, it's straight to hell. It's way, way worse.
2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Make me wanna shout, kick your heels up and shout, throw your hands up and shout, throw your head.
Hopefully nobody's stuck in a snowdrift somewhere.
Maggie, did you consider driving up there and helping shovel?
Yeah, I'll put that right on my to-do list. Now, bless the people who do that. They don't even get tickets to the game.
No, they get paid and they get cocoa, right?
They get lunch, I think, yeah. Some kind of food.
Someone said they get $20 an hour.
They should.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not volunteering. Well, you are, but, you should get something for the effort.
I'll double check that. But
you do not get tickets to the game.
I would do that in a heartbeat.
Go shovel for some hot cocoa?
I'd go, let's go down to the stadium and shovel. Yeah, of course.
A guy and his dad I saw woke up, they live in Ohio, and woke up at 4:30 in the morning and drove to Buffalo just to help out. They said they'll consider it a wedding gift to Josh Allen and Haley Steinfeld. Bills win last night. Basically put a fork in the 49ers season. They also clinched the AFC East for the 5th straight year and a playoff berth, obviously. But the 49ers side of this, we'll have a lot of time to unpack the Bills and Josh Allen and MVPs and stuff like that. But the 49ers part of this is especially interesting today because what do they do now? Leland's in Sacramento Leland, what do you think about Brock Purdy and Kyle Shanahan? Are they both back next year?
Good morning, Maggie. Good morning, Perloff. I think Kyle Shanahan should come back next year because his record speaks for him. 4 NFC championships in 5 years. He's done too much good.
Yeah.
I think he's earned the privilege to rebuild his system for next year. Move on to Brock Purdy. They got to pay him. Brock Purdy should come back. He's been a really good quarterback so far. Not this last game. Seems like he can't throw when the ball's wet or it's cold. So they're going to have to figure that out. But he's the best answer right now. But I think the problem is their key players like Deebo Samuel, Christian McCaffrey, Trent Williams, Kyle Juszczyk. These guys just signed new contracts. They're paying them too much money. Their key players can't perform. They don't execute. Where are the fundamentals? Defense, oh my gosh, they gave up over 100 yards in the first half alone. The Bills just ran at will against 49ers without Nick Bosa and Fred Warner playing with a broken ankle.
Yep.
They too many problems. Deebo Samuel's got to go. What do you guys think?
Yeah, Leland, I get it. I mean, I'm with you on the bringing back Brock Purdy and Kyle Shanahan. I don't think that's a question. And I think Purdy's going to get paid like right in line with the top 5 quarterbacks in the league. I don't think he's taking some big pay cut. I don't think it's going to be a Geno Smith, Daniel Jones situation where he's going to sign this really team-friendly deal. I think he's thinking, it's my turn. I'm up. I've more than performed. He's completely outperformed his draft position, that's for sure. I don't know.
I'd be a little wary about that shoulder. Like, is he going to have off-season surgery, and is he going to be ready week 1?
He had the off-season elbow surgery after you and I interviewed him at the Super Bowl the year when they lost to your Philadelphia Eagles, and he didn't miss anything.
Yeah, well, I don't even think he was ready for the beginning of camp that year. That was crazy. Again, though, if you say, for example, that you're not 100% sure he's healthy by next season, and you put all those eggs in the basket, I think they're going to at least ask him to take less. And honestly, you got Kyle Shanahan. Who's the MVP of that team? There's no doubt. By 50 miles, Nick Bosa. Like, you need him on the field. They're terrible when he doesn't play. So I think you got to look at your priorities and say defense, defense, defense. I wouldn't even look at the offense in this offseason.
To be honest, they have a lot invested in the defense. I mean, they just gave Lenore a big contract extension. You mentioned Bosa. I mean, it's not like Charvarius Ward's getting paid nothing.
But they're paying everybody on the offense. They're paying Kittle. They're paying Debo. They're paying McCaffrey. They're going to pay Purdy. You're right. They will play Purdy. They over-invest in the offense. I think they get rid of half those guys Leland just said.
Rich is in California. Rich, what do you think about the 49ers and this window being closed?
I think if the 49ers are planning to do this with the people that they have on the field, that window is closing, and it's closing rapidly. They need to seriously start about getting younger at Purdy's targets. I'm sorry, Debo hasn't been a shadow of his former self. McCaffrey's running on 33-year-old Achilles tendons, which I don't think I want to bet a season on. And I think it's time that they start seriously looking at the idea that, in skill positions, they need to get younger quick.
Listen, to be fair, Ayuk would have been different with Ayuk here. He's a young guy who they paid. They just drafted Pearsall. They can get, production from the running backs. Rich, I think it's going to be, thank you for the phone call. It's going to be interesting about Kittle. It's going to be interesting about Debo, and it's going to be interesting about Juszczyk. But they just paid some of these guys. I mean,
they clearly should have taken McConkey over Pearsall. Am I going to do it that obvious? Like, everyone had him mock draft to take Lad McConkey. Then they took Pearsall because he's more athletic. Obviously, he got shots. So you can't judge him. But Lad McConkey looks like a star. And they it looks like they missed on Pearsall. Like, he was running around last night. He just looked small.
I mean, he was slipping and sliding last night.
Last night's not fair. I just don't. He does not look like they hit. But again, he's coming back from a gunshot wound, so it's hard to judge.
Yeah.
Obviously, they have been looking at young receivers with Ayuk and Pearsall. They used a first-round pick, which was a huge mistake, by the way. They should have really gone defense.
This wasn't a defense draft, though. Especially the first round. And I don't know if that was right or wrong, but
the first 50 picks were offense, and there was tons of really good defensive players who fell down. I don't know. I'm not sure who was there, but it sure seems like in the short term, Pearsall with a team that's on the brink of a Super Bowl, they already had Debo, they already had Ayuk, they already had Kittle and McCaffrey, who were Kittle and McCaffrey are basically wide receivers. Then they go to this first-round pick. It has not worked out well.
Yeah, I wonder if they were trying to balance things out because they had just paid Bosa. You have Warner there. Dre Greenlaw gets hurt in the Super Bowl, so obviously you knew he was going to take some time to get back. Hufanga, you're thinking, is going to be back, but he got hurt again. You had just invested a lot in Javon Hargrave and made him a high-paid guy.
I think it was to get leverage over Ayuk, and
Didn't work.
I don't know what that ultimately achieved.
Nothing. It achieved absolutely nothing, but you could have never foreseen that Ricky Pearsall was going to get held up in broad daylight and get shot and survive.
Watch the Rams play. All those guys at the Rams drafted. Like, can you imagine if Braden Fisk was on this San Francisco defensive line? They really missed on this pick, which they do. They're not good in the first round. They're great in the fourth and fifth round. They're a bizarre drafting team.
855-212-4227. You can weigh in on the 49ers. Coming up, we talked a little about Ohio State. We got way more to unpack after that loss. How bad of a spot could they be in now? The college football playoff rankings looming. Get to that next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
4th down and 9. Do or die for Ohio State. Howard in trouble. Incomplete. Ohio State turns it over on downs. And the Michigan Wolverines will shock the college football world.
Who else? Gus Johnson with the big call, the big game. Michigan with the massive upset. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray. Andrew Perloff will get back to the snow game in Buffalo last night. Bills win. 49ers. Looks like the season is over. We've got lots of NFL. But we're still, coping, unpacking, figuring out what to do with Ohio State now that they've lost this game to Michigan. Credit Michigan. They really came into this game one-dimensional. Their quarterback can barely throw. They've cycled through 4 different quarterbacks. I know that's the same as J.J. McCarthy last year, but this felt different. Their defensive line really is the bread and butter of the team, Pearl, and they showed up in a big way when Ohio State committed to the run. Michigan committed to stopping the run, and they did a better job of it than Ohio State did.
They didn't even need to commit. The guys just, first of all, the Michigan's Mason Graham is awesome. I'm targeting him for the Cowboys. I like him as a Cowboy.
See it?
It was so easy. Like Ohio State was just running right into them. The sort of Chip Kelly Oregon runs from 2008 are about 20 years passé.
Where's LaMichael James?
It was terrible. Everything about Ohio State's offensive attack. I mean, they did score in the second half at home. I know you know this, Maggie, but I'm just stating it again because it is insane.
Okay, so obviously Ryan Day has taken a lot of the heat, rightfully so, head coach Ohio State. Now, we're going to take you back, because maybe this gives you a little bit of the mindset of what Ryan Day was feeling as he was heading into this big game. So here was Ryan Day on his own coach's show called Game Time with Ryan Day, and he was talking about last year's loss to Michigan. Remember, this was a Michigan team last year that won the national championship. Of all the times to lose to Michigan, you would think, all right, maybe this team is just better than us. Maybe. But this was Ryan Day on how hard he took it that he had lost to the Wolverines last year.
We felt what it's like to not win this game, and it's bad. It's one of the worst things that's happened to me in my life, quite honestly. Other than losing my father and a few other things, like it's quite honestly for my family the worst thing that's happened. So we can never have that happen.
I mean, 2 things there. One, Ryan Day lost his father. He's 9 years old. I mean, that's traumatic. It's traumatic anytime you would lose a parent, but 9 years old, I mean, that could really shake your entire foundation, your worldview. The other part I'm thinking is, man, losing a football game, like, you've got to have a different, I think, kind of mindset going into that game as a head coach. Now, far be it for me to tell him how to feel. You feel how you want to feel. You can't argue with feelings. But Perloff, there has to be a little bit more of a steady kind of clinical approach to this. I'm not saying take the blood out of the blood rivalry, but at some point it has to be a little more surgical. Hey, we've got the better team this year. That's why we'll win this game, not because we're more fired up. Yeah,
it felt like the approach was wrong. Somehow they came in and their mentality was like, this is going to be a dogfight. They should have came in with the mentality, we're going to blow this team. We're better at almost every position except for maybe in the trenches on the line. We should bring the game outside and let our athletes win the game. It didn't feel like he came in with confidence. You mentioned earlier in the show, tight. He coached tight. I'm just looking at it's crazy. Their depth chart is insane on offense. I mean, these are two NFL wide receivers, about two NFL running backs, maybe 5 NFL wide receivers. I know that sounds like hyperbole. It's not. Their depth chart goes very deep with 5 stars. And I know the offensive line has been hurt, but they have some pros there too. Like, you have to score in the second half of this game.
Yeah, 2 interceptions by Will Howard. The first one, Michigan cashed in to take a 7-3 lead. Now, they were able to tie the game at 10 at halftime, and then, as Perloff said, they didn't score in the second half, and Michigan won on that last-second field goal that we played for you from Gus Johnson. Here is Ryan Day when he was asked if beating Michigan is a mental hurdle that they have to get over.
I don't know, but I can just probably go off of this game and what's going on in this game right now. I think each game is a little bit different and unique to itself, like you said, but the results are the results. And, as hard as that is to say, we came up short here again today, and, not easy to swallow at all.
Listen, I get that all this is new, and I understand it's new. But if you're Ohio State, you've got to find a way to regroup here because you've got games to play. Now, we don't know what's going to happen with the 12-team college football playoff, but we know one thing. They're going to be in it. We don't know if they're hosting. We don't know who they're playing. They're not playing in the Big Ten title game. That's going to be Oregon and Penn State. But you have a possibility, Pearl, where you might be hosting Indiana. You might be hosting a winnable game, a game you're going to be favored in. You got to find a way to turn the page. And the way that Ryan Day is talking about this rivalry and how devastated they are by losing, I'm unsure if they're going to be able to do that.
Normally, I agree with you but this is just, again, like you lose this game to Michigan. They probably will turn around. They already beat Penn State. And they basically were right there at Oregon. If they didn't call, there was one controversial pass interference call on Jeremiah Smith that would say never throw the flag on. They don't call that, then they hit the game-winning field goal. So they're right there with anybody here. Like, there isn't a team that on paper should blow them out. You'd think they'd be in the game. Like, I mean, honestly, like they'll be favored. Is there any team? How many teams will be favored over them? Maybe
not many.
Oregon, but barely. I mean,
maybe Georgia. Georgia hasn't been great shakes.
Texas?
Yeah,
I don't know about that.
I don't know. It's
probably
hard
Texas.
to say because I think that, and not just to try to play like prisoner of the moment, but how could you really think that Ohio State has a shot to win the title game unless something magical happens in these next couple weeks and they get their you-know-what together and change the mentality and everything. More from Ryan Day. Doesn't blame people for questioning his future because he knows everyone just wants him to beat Michigan.
No, I mean, everybody, wants to win this game in the worst way, and nobody wants to win it more than we do. And it's our number one goal every year. And so when you don't, do that, then there's disappointment and frustration. And so, I don't blame anybody for being upset. I'm upset, more than anybody.
Man, how are you going to turn the page on this? And, it's funny because you're right to bring up, Pearl, that it's Chip Kelly who's calling the plays on the offensive side. Do you remember when that happened, when Chip Kelly left UCLA to go to Ohio State? It was kind of hailed as a coup. Like, you have a guy with head coaching experience, a guy who's thought to be somewhat of an innovator on offense. Maybe that.
Well, UCLA was so bad on offense. I don't remember being hailed as a coup. It did seem like, oh, this is really interesting. This could be something. I think Chip Kelly's status has fallen a lot. Would you say
it's falling now?
Even before that,
now.
I think that the magic had disappeared. I think honestly, he's a guy like Urban Meyer who went to the NFL and just gutted his legacy. He was bad in Philly, then terrible in San Francisco, and then he's never really. I don't know why that Oregon attack can't be recreated, but they were trying some Oregon plays last night and they didn't work at all.
855-212-4227 Saturday. Say this.
Yeah.
If you want to weigh in on Ryan Day's future, because I know we're on in Ohio. I know we've got some diehard Buckeye fans in our crowd. I'm curious what they think. So here's a tweet that I saw from Tyreek Johnson, who used to play for the Buckeyes, okay? And his tweet was, bring Lane Kiffin to Columbus. See, that I do not understand. Because the last time we saw Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin was blowing an important game. Lane Kiffin can blow any important game. Are you sure that would be an upgrade? Here's what I'm asking. If, say, Ryan Day decides to take a step back, because we played that clip for you about he said this is the most devastating thing since his father passed away when he was a child. maybe he might need, maybe he's getting a little burnt out of this job or whatever. Maybe it's a little too much. Either he takes a step back, or if the athletic department says, all right, we're going to go in a different direction, who would be that slam dunk hire? Lane Kiffin, again, Lane had an all-time roster this year.
I mean, all-time for Ole Miss.
Okay, but in the SEC, that's important, and Lane Kiffin just went to the swamp and lost.
I think with more resources in Ohio State, he would build a juggernaut of at least talent roster. Yeah, I mean, how many brand names are there that are bigger than Lane Kiffin? Lane Kiffin can coach offense. That doesn't seem like a bad choice to me, because to me, just after scoring 10 points against Michigan, like the number one thing is like, we need to be explosive. We have all this talent here. How are we going to get the most out of Jeremiah Smith? I think Lane Kiffin, and this is terrible because I know he's not a winning coach, but a Lincoln Riley, Lane Kiffin, Cliff Kingsbury type to me, like bringing an offensive guru.
Cliff Kingsbury did not have winning seasons when he was at Texas
No,
Tech.
I know. They're not going to get him. I think he'll stay in the pros. But generally, like, once you – I would put winning to the side and get offense. Offense because of that roster. Like, you gotta turn that into the greatest show on turf.
Ryan Day was supposed to be an offensive coach.
I know.
Like, he was that guy, bro.
I know. Well, yeah. I mean, but not like Lane. Like, Lane Kiffin has done in multiple places. Lincoln Riley's done in multiple places. Those guys are, I think, a little bit more the real deal. Honestly, Lane will blow the game for you. If you're already blowing your big games against Michigan, you might as well bring in Lane and have some fun, Maggie.
That's what I'm saying. You want to talk about a guy who can blow a big game. I mean, listen, Lane Kiffin is an excellent coach. I'm not trying to be, I'm being a little snarky here, but I do respect Lane Kiffin as a coach. But let's be honest. I mean, before, the game against Georgia, we were talking about his Lane Kiffin just like James Franklin. He couldn't win a big game either.
What was the time that Ole Miss was a national topic before Lane Kiffin?
Or sorry, LSU. Georgia.
Yeah. The answer is a hard never. So
when Lane Kiffin was what?
No, Ole Miss has never been relevant. They were, the resources at Ohio State compared to Mississippi are gigantically different. So this is closer to Lane Kiffin trying to take over USC. Like, Ole Miss has no right to be in this conversation. They've never been anywhere close.
Yeah, but listen, they got some good guys in the portal. Jackson Dart stayed. Like, this was going to be the year.
But I think you say, whoa, what if I had Ohio State and all those resources and all that money? Then watch out. Because you think you get the top quarterback. Lane can attract talent. I'm not saying, like, listen, who's your choice? What do you got?
Well, I got one from our very own Andrew Kaplan in our chat, youtube.com/Infinity Sportsnet, twitch.tv/Infinity Sports Network. I got to really commend you guys. I mean, it's early/late. We're coming off a holiday weekend, and the chat is bumping right now. It's just a lot of fun. Our own Andrew Kaplan, bring Deion to Ohio State. Watch them dominate Michigan.
Too cold.
He's in Colorado. There's a
that's a good point. I don't know. That doesn't feel right at all. Does Deion want any of that smash mouth Ohio State? I don't know. That feels like a waste.
School.
Yeah, but he was a cornerback and a wide. I just don't see it. That doesn't feel right at all to me. Just based on vibes. Is that, you like that fit? I feel like, honestly, go to the NFL. How about the Titans? Nashville?
Go to the Titans.
He's not going to, like, Ohio State. Just
When's the
doesn't
last
feel.
time the Titans played a meaningful game?
Also, the uniforms are kind of drab. I just don't really see this. The horseshoe's a little bit drab.
Drab? It's iconic.
It's you've been there. It's always kind of. It's always kind of gray there.
Well, I mean, it's Ohio.
I hear you. Like, he is. You're right. He is at Colorado. That's a good counterpoint. But I don't know. Does Deion really want to go up to Columbus?
No, Boulder's bougie. I don't think that Columbus
It's close
is
to
bougie.
LA. Yeah, Colorado's not that far from Texas. I feel like Ohio State doesn't work for me.
I think I have your man.
Hold it. Save it. 855-212-4227.
What a
Let me get
tease.
Joe in Las Vegas, who's a Buckeye alum. Joe, how you coping today?
It's going to take me a long time to get over this one right here, and I'm not going to fire Ryan Day because I can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. He's coached well. He's got a great record against everybody else. I think they'll be okay in this playoffs because they don't play Michigan. I mean, Michigan is just in his head, and unfortunately that's the one game you do have to win when you're Ohio State head coach. but I can't throw Ryan Day out. And, they've got these young quarterbacks coming up. I think the stage was just too big for Will Howard. And so I'm going to keep Ryan Day, and I'm going to bite the bullet on this one right here. But I think I got over COVID quicker than I'm going to get over this one right here. It's going to take a long time for this to settle my stomach. Yeah.
Oh, Joe.
So that's my feeling on this one right here.
Joe, thank you for the call. Could have given me 1,000 guesses. I didn't think he would say that. And we've been doing sports talk radio for a while, and I'm generally not shocked by the callers anymore. That one was pretty hilarious.
2021, that joke would have probably been a little more.
Not then. In 2024, I think we can make it then.
What about, no, it would have been, now it sounds kind of out of place. How about Vrabel gets the offer? Would you guys do that? I would not do that.
So Vrabel, who Urban Meyer did not remember was on the staff at Ohio State, allegedly.
I'm generally not a huge fan of alumni coaching their own team. It usually
Scott Frost.
I think it's Chris Mullen at St. John's. That had no chance.
Steve Spurrier worked.
Spurrier, yeah.
Okay, so Ryan Day, if you're wondering, his overall record of 7 years at Ohio State, the first year was just an interim type thing, 66-10, but 1-4 against Michigan.
It also has
10 losses.
Come up short in the playoff too.
Come up short of the playoff.
I mean,
lost in the national championship game.
This team, I think you're going to look at that roster and be like, "Whoa, how did this team not really do it?" If they don't do anything in the playoff, I think it's going to be a huge disappointment because
what does do anything mean? Sorry, not to cut you off.
Get to the title game.
Wow. Okay.
I think Final Four, he's probably fired. I just, listen, you have big names on defense, and then you have an NFL team on offense.
I know, but this is starting to feel a little NBA-ish to me, which is you could have someone who goes to the playoffs but loses. You're telling me he could go to the Final Four and lose, but you want to bring Lane Kiffin in, who's got 3 losses, who's Ole Miss is not even going to make this playoff. Or you want to bring in Mike Vrabel, who's never been a head coach in college. Or you want to bring in Dion, who's not making this playoff.
Bring in whoever the hottest guy is, bring him in. Especially if he can play. I definitely would go offensive side of the ball.
Okay, so not Vrabel. And not Dion.
I wouldn't go for it. That's the thing. I would not go for Vrabel just because obviously get a new quarterback. I just think, you have Jeremiah Smith. He's like Marvin Harrison Jr. You have a Maserati sitting there. You got to take full advantage. I don't know why anybody can run the ball in college football. It's not hard. And it's unbelievable that a team like Ohio State runs at 2.8 yards per clip.
Well, I mean, their offensive line's all banged up, but you're right. They've got 2 guys who are probably going to be in the NFL. But I'm wondering now about Quinshon Judkins and Travion Anderson. What are they going to be in the NFL? I don't know. Are we looking at the next Saquon Barkley here? I don't think so.
I was a little worried that Ole Miss was so eager to get rid of Judkins.
Yeah,
it did feel like Lane Kiffin was super into him. Actually, I think I mentioned that. I hated Judkins at Miss. He would always run in the line and cost me games. So Jeremiah Smith's probably the best receiver. Carnell Tate's probably the second best receiver. And Buka's going to be a top 15 pick. And Brandon Innes is the number 1 wide receiver recruit in the country. You got to take advantage of that, right? So is it the quarterback? Is it the coach?
I think in this game it was both. I think the quarterback was tight, and I think the coach was tight. And I didn't like the game plan. Your point about them running the ball too much and not passing in the second half enough is definitely a fair one. I think it felt like they were sitting on a lead when the game was actually tied. And it felt like that's how they were playing. We have not gotten to what happened after the game. We're going to get to that next because it looks like flag planting is not going great.
Who would have thought?
Also, I don't know how everybody got the memo to do the flag planting thing all on the same day. It's like, what are y'all in a group text or something? 4 different schools did this. And it didn't go well for any of them. And especially not with Ohio State and Michigan. When the pepper spray comes out, things have taken a really bad left turn. 855-212-4227. We'll get into who's to blame for that and what happens next. With some melees happening after these college football games. Don't move.
I'd like to know where Lou Holtz is right now.
All right, Perloff, I'm going to ask you a small favor. You can only text me 3 times a day about Prize Picks now. You're about a 5 to 6 text clip, and I got to be honest, I can't keep up with you. But Prize Picks, is our favorite. It's the best place to get real money sports action when you watch football. 10 million members, billions of dollars in awarded winnings, and Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. What do? Download the app. So easy. Pick 2 or more players across any sport. We're talking football. We're talking NBA, college football, soccer. There's even esports on there. And all you do is pick more or less on their projection. You could win up to 100 times your money. How you doing?
I got to tell you, I had a good weekend, but if you were a little like, I don't know if I really am into this Broncos-Browns game tonight, get it on the Prize Picks. You can definitely enjoy it more. Bet on a little Bo Nix. Always fun to bet on Bo Nix. To pick Bo Nix, that is. Prize Picks even invented Flex Pay, so you can still cash out if one of your picks doesn't hit. It's simple. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code M&P and get a $50 credit instantly when you play $5. That's code M&P on Prize Picks to get a $50 credit instantly when you play just $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks, run your game, must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.
Mand P.
You're in a 4-minute break. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining.
Maggie's phone buzzing again. It's way past your nose, it's Perloff, humming that familiar tune. Yo, Maggie, got a sec, let me break it down. Prize Pick song popping, gonna take the crown. She's heard it all before, every prop, every play. Just one peaceful moment, he's got something to say. Perloff, go away, take your Prize Picks and run. I don't care if you hit or you're up by one. I'm dodging your peace. Talk to someone else, let a girl be free. He's got stats on his mind, over-unders on deck. Calling Maggie again, like a human group text. Maggie, you're missing out, this is pure gold. Let's parlay this win, we'll be legends bold. She's got a show to prep, real life on the line. But here comes Perloff for the 100th time. Perloff, go away, take your prize picks and run. I don't care if you hit or you're up by one. I'm dodging your calls, I just need some peace. Talk to someone else, let a girl be free. He's got a show to prep, real life on the line. But here comes Perloff for the 100th time. Perloff, go away, take your prize picks and run.
Hey, guys.
I don't know if this is anyone else. We'll get back to the sports in just a moment. I don't know if this is anyone else. I find that I try to be as like sort of disciplined on the actual Thanksgiving day, right? Like I'll try to be like, all right, don't totally go crazy, totally stuff yourself. So then I'll be good, like ish, and I'll eat a lot, but not like to the point where I'm like rolling around in pain or something.
Wait, I don't get it. That's the day you're supposed to do that.
I know, but here's what I'm about to tell you. So I'll like be quote unquote good and sort of disciplined on Thanksgiving Day. And then the next day I'm like, oh, I was kind of holding back a little on Thanksgiving. So now the next day I kind of overdid it. So I really had like 2 big eating days. Does that make sense?
No.
Okay.
Well, nobody does that.
No one eats a lot the second day.
No. Does
Friday?
anybody?
No?
Thanksgiving is the one day a year you don't hold back.
Yeah, but you can't. My problem had been I was eating too much of the warm-up food. And then when I got to the actual dinner, I was like, oh, I'm not that hungry. So this year I made sure that I was still hungry for dinner.
Too many hors d'oeuvres or whatever?
Too many hors d'oeuvres.
Me too.
Too many chips and dips, too many cheese and crackers.
So much cheese.
Here's a mistake
Good
I made.
grief.
I was like, I'm not going to eat anything all day because I'm going to save it for Thanksgiving dinner. We eat kind of late. And then I was so hungry by the time those cheese and crackers came out, I just went to town. And I ate about 7,000 pieces of cheese, and I was not hungry.
I'm telling you, it's not always, you don't always land the plane in a perfect way is what I'm trying to say.
Your system makes no sense.
No, it doesn't. I also feel like I'm always pretty good, and then dessert comes out, and then I lose it. That's where I lose the battle.
I have a little thing that people are not going to like. I am not as big a fan of Friday leftovers because Friday is always a Thanksgiving meal number 2, right?
Yeah, sandwiches.
But then you get the mashed potatoes and like there's a little bit of some other food in the mashed potatoes and like, it's definitely like the lesser pieces of turkey are left. And you just have to like, wait, who's already manhandled this food? I am not a huge Friday fan.
Do you like leftovers in general? It sounds like you're kind of icked out by leftovers.
I think, no, I do like leftovers. Like, my parents' generation, like there'd be like one Brussels sprout left and they put it in a piece of Tupperware.
I asked my husband, I'm like, is it the Great Depression? Why did you keep one dumpling?
I know, it is
Just
insane. My in-laws do that too. Like if there's like 1/3 of a slice of canned cranberry jelly,
gotta save it.
Like, gotta save that.
So someone else can throw it out.
And we do have one tradition at the Perloff household. Every year, my mom forgets to put out the canned cranberry jelly, and that's my favorite food.
Yeah, it's good.
And I don't even know where it is the other 364 days of the year, but I went to town.
It's with the French fried onions on the green bean casserole. I can't even imagine having that any other day. If someone served that in the middle of July, I'd be like, you anarchist. Like I don't even know if they sell green beans in a can any other time. Just to your point, like the cranberry sauce.
We had great success. We brought a German chocolate cake instead of a pie. It was well received, Maggie.
You can't go wrong with German chocolate.
The German chocolate cake that's like from Texas?
That was from New York. But nobody brought a pumpkin.
It wasn't from Bavaria? Yeah.
Nobody brought a pumpkin pie. There was an apple pie.
That's
I was so depressed. So that's another food that you can't really get most of the year.
No, unless you're Mel Kiper. Doesn't he eat pumpkin pie every day?
Yeah, he does, yes.
That's got to be a bit.
Got to have a special whipped cream with it as well.
Yeah, I mean, again, Mel Kiper, you're telling me on August 20th, you're like, you know what I have a hankering for? A pumpkin pie? I don't believe it.
It's a sorry food to eat every day, by the way.
Kind of.
Todd, I need a pumpkin pie.
That's pretty
He's
good.
grinding film, eating pie.
Todd.
That's factually did happen, yeah. Maggie, how was your mom's dessert? I'm sorry, now we're on food.
Amazing. I mean, she just nailed it this year.
Oh, when are the biscotti arriving?
Soon. The order's been placed.
Not to put any pressure on her. I mean,
That's
it's
fine.
very gracious that she does that for us, but yeah, tell her time is a ticking.
It's December
Blood
2nd.
sugar's low. Let's go.
I
Do I
don't
have
know
to
if she
hurt
can.
something to get cookies around here?
I don't know if she can have it ready by 8 a.m.
Well, I
Eastern.
think there's a lot of demand this year, so she might want to get the old oven fired up because
worry.
the word is out about your mom's biscotti.
Yeah, it's happening. It's all happening. And Bogish's update also happening. What's going on in the world?
Oh, hey, Josh Allen got the girl, then the division crown. The Bills QB doing it all off the field and on it as well.
First and goal from the 7. Allen under center. Takes the snap. Quick hitter. Thrown behind, but somehow caught. And now lateral to Allen. And reaching for the pylon. Are you kidding me? It's a touchdown. Unbelievable.
That's Bills radio. It's technically a receiving touchdown for Allen, even though he wasn't credited with a catch on the play.
I wish he got credited for something there, an assist or a passing touchdown. But again, I kind of threw a bad ball, so I was just kind of chasing it. I was kind of tipped around. He made a heck of a catch. Yeah, I threw it. It was just kind of sticky hand, and I just kind of chased the ball just to be there. And we made eye contact, and that's what it was. Yeah, he just pitched it, and I had to go make a play. It was dope.
It was dope. Allen, 2 touchdowns, throwing, another one running. So he's the first QB in the Super Bowl era to score 3 different ways in the same game. But again, I feel like it's not a receiving touchdown. He's got to literally catch a pass for it to be a receiving touchdown.
He did catch a pass. From
Somebody else caught it.
Backward pass.
By the way, Amari Cooper, how he hung on to that ball the first time where he's getting pulled to the ground was pretty spectacular.
I mean, we're all going to admit that the play obviously should have been blown dead. The Niners gave up on it.
Oh, you thought they had him in the grass?
Oh, they had him in they clearly had him in the grass. They let go. If somebody had run up and hit him, it would have been a flag in 2 seconds.
Yeah, but this is a weird game. The conditions are weird. He
No.
wasn't on the ground yet. I don't think that's right.
Hey, they obviously should have blown the whistle. The Niners had him. They had him sacked up. If they wanted to throw him down on the ground, they definitely would have gotten a flag. I mean, it's a classic, like the NFL is helping out the offense. If a defensive guy had done anything there, the play was clearly over. Watch it again. Like they had all just like they held him up and then they just stopped and then he threw the ball.
I mean, there were 3 guys there. Get him on the ground.
Get him on the ground, you would have gotten flagged.
For what?
Because the play. Yes, that's the NFL. Have you watched the NFL in 2024? That is highly illegal to actually tackle a person.
Yeah, they really should do
If
something about that.
If he had suplexed him right there and thrown him down, they'd been like, "Come on, dude, the play was
No,
over."
he's not a quarterback. They only do that for quarterbacks.
Yeah. Anyway, it felt like they had let up because they thought the play was over.
Meanwhile, Allen's got his MVP moment now. Barkley had his backwards jump over the defender. Now Allen's got something. So it's going to be neck and neck.
And it came in a 35-10 rout of the Niners in the snow on Sunday Night Football. Those Niners go home on a 3-game skid, and not knowing when Christian McCaffrey plays again, the running back suffered a possibly season-ending PCL injury in the second quarter, with San Francisco already down 5 starters last night. Here's tight end George Kittle.
It's football. Like, people go down. And we've had seasons where plenty of people have gone down, and you need someone to step up. And that's what we need. We continually need guys to step up.
And their mics don't work. The Niners are 5-7 overall. They're last in the NFC West. The Seahawks in first after a 26-21 come-from-behind win at the Jets. The Cardinals and Rams are 1 game behind Seattle. Arizona losing in Minnesota 23-22 despite a 19-6 third-quarter lead. LA a 21-14 winner in New Orleans. The Big Ten fining Michigan and Ohio State $100,000 apiece for that post-game brawl on Saturday. The league nor the schools will suspend any individuals involved, so the Big Ten considers the matter closed. It is that time of year to fire college coaches as well. West Virginia's Neil Brown, Purdue's Ryan Walters got the boot yesterday. NBA heavyweights meeting last night in Cleveland. The Celtics had a 12-point lead through 3.
Mitchell into the forecourt. Mitchell into the paint. Shot puts. Bounced around the rim and in. And the Cavaliers are up 103-101. Donovan Mitchell looking like an all-star. Playing like an all-star.
Tim Alcorn, Cavs Radio. Mitchell scoring 20 of his 35 in the fourth to lead Cleveland back for a 115-111 win. The Celtics' 7-game win streak is over. The Clippers outscore the Nuggets 126-122. And the Mavs won in Portland 137-131. Luka Doncic, 36 points, 13 assists after missing 5 games with that wrist injury. The Mets are reportedly signing veteran righty Frankie Montas for 2 years and $34 million. And the Winnipeg Jets lost in Dallas yesterday 3-1, so they go 2-4 on a 10-day, 5,000-mile road trip. Guys, back to you.
What happened to our Winnipeg Jets, Andrew Bogus?
Bad road trip. Bump in the road.
5,000 miles.
No worries. Apparently Winnipeg was closed for a week and a half, so they just traversed North America.
Remember how excited I was about that team for about 30 seconds
Yeah, I
2
do.
weeks ago?
Oh, yeah.
That was a glorious time
Yep.
for me and my Winnipeg bandwagon.
Then there was the 90 seconds you're on the Ovechkin bandwagon. Long time ago, there was Connor Bedard. Who's next?
When's Ovechkin coming back?
Next year. Like 2025.
Oh, he's not coming back this season at all?
No, like next year. Like January. Calendar year.
I hate when people do that.
I was just being a jerk.
When do you think Perloff will discover Macklin Celebrini?
No, we already did that last year before
We
the
did
draft.
that last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Golden State Warriors
Trainer's
strength and
son,
conditioning
yeah.
guy's son. Good story. Love it.
I think we even got a what kind of name is Macklin take at one point.
Well, by the look on his face, I don't think he remembers
This
that.
isn't registering at all. Goldfish memory, Perloff here. Can we put a poll up, please? Should flag planting be banned? I just don't think that college football now can handle it. You know, we're talking about the end of Ohio State, Michigan. Bogus just gave us the update about the $100,000 fines. No one is going to be punished, so that's a big coup for Ohio State. Michigan doesn't, they have a bowl game left, but for Ohio State, that could have been a really big deal. I don't think we can handle the flag planting. And I would love to know how it became so coordinated, because I don't think I've seen a flag get planted since Baker Mayfield.
It's all his fault.
All his fault. He's on 4 different NFL teams at this point. He's been in the NFL for a decade. Feels like.
It's fun. It's fun to still blame Baker Mayfield for
All right.
something.
I mean, sure. But to be honest, like, how did this happen? It was what? Florida State and Florida. It was obviously Ohio State, Michigan. That's the one that got the biggest response.
UNC, NC State.
Happened there too?
Oh, yeah.
It happened in
4 of
Clemson
them
as well.
yesterday, yeah.
And the
South
Arizona
Carolina.
schools?
At Arizona and Arizona State, I know the mascots fought.
Right.
That I want to keep.
That's not surprising.
I don't want to get that out of the game.
That tracks for you.
I mean, we got to have a little fun. I want a Wildcat to fight a Sun Devil every now and again. But what didn't you find it odd? It was like I need to see something bloody. That's right. Preferably a mascot.
Yeah. No, that it all happened this weekend.
Every 5 minutes.
I saw the photo of all the play. You know what? I think I'm a little different. I'm upset with Ohio State. Like, you show more fight after the game than you do during the game. I mean, you just got manhandled. Like, you should cower off into the locker room. I'm sorry, they should have left.
So,
I don't know why they were hanging around just to see what Michigan was doing.
Well, I think because Michigan brought the flag out and then was going to plant the flag.
They deserve to.
Bringing the flag out is one thing. I think you can run around with your own flag. The planting it, though, I do feel like is kind of that's an aggressive act to me. But here's let's listen to Gus Johnson. We'll go back to this game, this Ohio State-Michigan game. This was Gus during the melee.
And folks, something interesting is going on the field right now. Michigan tried to plant their flag in the middle of the Ohio State field, and the Buckeyes rushed right to them. An unsportsmanlike gesture by the Wolverines. Unnecessary. They've won the game. No need to be disrespectful.
I'm with Gus here.
What's the
I'm
deal with
Gus.
Gus and Michigan? What did he didn't go to Ohio State, did he? I mean, I don't know what.
He's from Detroit.
Did Michigan waitlist him? Like, why is he so angry?
Yeah, I mean, I think of the key moment, and they didn't cheat this time, dude.
We've got that also. Okay,
yeah. Gus is like,
can we do
hates
one
the
at a
Wolverines.
time? Hold on, one at a time though. First, the flag planting. I think it is disrespectful. And when Baker Mayfield did it to Ohio State when he played for Oklahoma, he meant it to be disrespectful. That's not something where you're like, you know what, I'm going to do this cute thing. I'm just going to plant our flag right at the middle of your big O. Like, that doesn't, that you are trying to be disrespectful. So I get where Gus is talking about.
Honestly, I think Ohio State disrespected the game by running it on 2nd and 10 into the line every time. They deserve and
they lost by 3 points.
As a 3-touchdown favorite.
They're a 3-touchdown favorite at home.
Oh, I know. I laid the 20 and a
beat the
half.
3
I get
previous
it.
years.
I'm upset too, but I just think that it's an aggressive act to do the flag planting. It's not to have it out there. But here's what my one thing I don't understand. How is anybody going to pepper spray? The police and the guards there started pepper spraying, but you're outside, it's windy, so everyone you're not getting your intended target. You're getting them and everyone else.
The problem is there's not enough security at these stadiums, which is why fans can storm the field and the cops or security there's nothing they can do about it.
Was this fans though? This was just the players and some journalists.
No, it wasn't. I'm just saying, because there's not enough security, they didn't have enough bodies to stop that melee. They just didn't.
Yep.
There's 50 football players, 250-pound, 300-pound guys. You think some fat Ohio Columbus police security guard is going to break that up? No, they're going straight to the pepper spray. I'm not saying I agree with it. It was terrible. I'm just saying, because they don't have enough people, this is what happens. Dabble Sweeney said he thought he was going to get killed during one of these flag plantings on Saturday because of how many massive bodies that are going out there slugging each other.
But wait, those guys are all wearing pads. Let them fight. Who cares? The only thing they're going to break is their hand.
Oh, I look like one Ohio State guy was limping away. He looked like, I'm worried that somebody is going to tear an ACL or something in these scrums.
Or a patella tendon.
Or that too. Way tougher than a PCL, by the way.
Could be any of those things.
Yeah, so Ohio, you lost. Walk away.
I agree with you. I think Ohio State was being completely childish.
See, I agree, but I do think that the flag planting is aggressive. I think that that's trying to provoke a response, in my opinion.
True. But it's kind of funny. I don't know. I've got it down.
It's a little funny. You can't do it on a turf field, though. You can't actually jam it into the turf.
Yeah. They kept trying to do it, and it kept not standing, and they didn't know why. It was kind of funny.
Well, when Baker planted the flag, it fell right down.
It did. 855-212-4227. That's not how we remember it, though, right? Remember Baker took that Oklahoma flag. You're welcome to weigh in. Flag planting. Who was in the right? Who was in the wrong? Ohio State, Michigan, or all these other instances where the flag got planted over the weekend? I think it gets banned, guys. I think the NCAA bans it.
The end of that thing still exists?
Yeah.
That NCAA?
A couple more weeks, couple more months.
Oh, my God. Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know if they actually have the right to do that.
We'll also get into what Gus Johnson said at the end of the game, which was so curious. It's weird where the human brain goes, but we'll get to that as well. And so much NFL to unpack from yesterday. 855-212-4227.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining.
To prep, real life on the line, but here comes Perloff for the 100th time. Perloff, go away, take your prize picks and run. I don't care if you hit or you're up by one. I'm dodging your calls, I just need some peace. Talk to someone else, let a girl be free. He's dreaming of millions, she's dreaming of quiet, but Perloff's pitch, oh, she can't deny it. Maggie, just one more, I swear it's a lock. She throws down the phone, time to change the clock. Perloff, go away, take your prize picks and run. I don't care if you hit or you're up by one. I'm dodging your calls, I just need some peace. Talk to someone else, let a girl be free. Perloff, it's over, no more plays today. Find a new phone friend or just go away. Said it again, thumb in his damn mouth. Says Freddie Freeman soft as a pillow on the couch, but Kirk fucking Gibson, a real badass in pain, limped up to the plate, brought on the rain. But where the hell is Pete? That guy's never in his damn seat. Bogus is losing his mind, he's up to his fucking ears. Every damn day Pete's gone, same old fears. Yelling Freeman weak, a total joke. While Kirk's on one leg, swinging like he's provoked. But fucking Pete nowhere to be found, living his best life while we're grinding down. Seriously, Pete, where the hell did you go? Leaving Bogus to wade through this shit show, while Perloff's ranting about legends with guts. Bogus just fucking fed up with Pete's lazy struts.
Pine Needles wakes up at dawn, coffee brewing, screen turned on. He's got a favorite show to see, the Maggie and Perloff Symphony. Oh, Pine Needles are tuned in tight to Infinity Sports Radio every night. Maggie and Perloff, your daily delight. In their words, you find your life. From highlights to the breaking news, in the chat, he's always there with comments, questions, wisdom to share. Oh, Pine Needles, you're tuned in tight to Infinity Sports Radio every night. Maggie and Perloff, your daily delight. In their words, you find your life. When the games get tough and the stakes are high, Pine Needles knows where to rely on the voices that break it down. Maggie and Perloff never let him down. He's got a playlist all saved up, from epic wins to the close-up. Loyal viewer through and through. Pine Needles, this song's for you. Oh, Pine Needles, you're tuned in tight to Infinity Sports Radio every night. Maggie and Perloff, your daily delight. In their words, you find your life. So here's to the fan, always engaged with every comment, every page. Pine Needles, you're the heart and soul of the Maggie and Penn.
Around with the flag, that's not going to get you, in a fight with a team. But you try to do the flag planting thing like Baker Mayfield did in Oklahoma when they beat Ohio State at the Horseshoe all those years ago, you're going to get a response.
Yeah, definitely. There's no doubt about that. But still, that being said, Ohio State, they had no right to stand. I mean, they just completely no-showed in the biggest game of the year. They should have run off to the locker room with their tail between their legs and never showed up again.
So Ryan Day getting a lot of heat for a lot of things. The game plan, not passing the ball enough in the second half, only scoring 10 points against Michigan, losing to this Michigan team yet again. But he's also getting criticized because there's video of him basically just standing there as this is kind of going on around him. And he's watching his players get in these fights, and he's not trying to get people to the locker room, not trying to break it up. He's just kind of standing there.
I'd like to know where Lou Holtz is right now.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what we're supposed to do. I guess Sark did a nice job of stopping his team from getting involved and saying, don't do this. But again, for Ohio, as far as the list of Ohio State issues, that's number 57,000 for me. It is 1st and 10 1-yard run. That is the ultimate. And by the way, I think that they watch this game like they're not complete idiots. Like they might have been just sort of playing possum for the rest of the college football playoff. Like if you put that game on tape and then they come out all of a sudden and throw the ball 50 times, like that could all of a sudden be a national title contender.
Wow. You thought that them losing in embarrassing fashion to Michigan is a rope-a-dope?
Well, it might effectively be a rope-a-dope because Will Howard, he might not be great, but if you throw a 50-50 ball to Carnell Tate or Jeremiah Smith, you have 30 yards, probably 80% of the time. Like, they can definitely win games, which is so funny. I think there's two hysterical scenarios that could happen.
What's that?
One, Ryan Day takes home the national title and they fire him. That would be amazing.
They're not going to fire him if he wins the title.
Second, they lose in the playoffs, and guess who's back next year? Bring him in.
Urban Meyer?
They bring back Urban Meyer. That would be just such high comedy. I would love every second of it.
Let's
How
go.
about Jim Tressel?
Where is Jim Tressel? Let's go to Sean, probably wearing a sweater vest somewhere, if I'm going to guess. Sean is in Oregon. Sean, what do you think about flag planting?
Hey, that's a terrible look, you guys. That's like taunting. That's like taunting the fan base. That's like, let the players go back in the locker room and then the fans rush the field and take care of business. This is like, maybe that player that planted the flag, maybe he might find a bounty put on him. Maybe like when you do something like that, maybe the other team's bus gets stoned on the way out of the parking lot.
Good grief, Sean. Stoning the
bus. Yeah, you got to watch what you're doing there. You guys can really make this, it's a rivalry, and the rivalry can really escalate.
No, I get it. This is why I thought Michigan was too aggressive in trying to plant the flag. I thought that it was provoking. But how are you going to rush the field when you're at Ohio?
Wait, I'm talking about the Ohio State fans rushing and getting that flag from that guy.
Oh, you want the Ohio State fans to rush the field and get the flag down. I thought you meant to the victor goes the spoils.
No.
I got you.
The fans rush the field and take care of that guy. And you talked about the coach doing something. Well, the Michigan coach disciplines his own dogs. We're not supposed to discipline somebody else's kids. The Michigan coach should have came out there and said, no, we don't do that.
He didn't. Sharon Moore was waving goodbye to the Ohio State fans. He wasn't trying to discipline Sean, and thank you for the phone call. He was getting in on the action as well. I'm sure it was, it's been a bad season for Michigan, so I'm sure he felt pretty cathartic. But you don't want the fans and the players mixing it up because first of all, the players are wearing helmets and pads, and the fans are probably not. That would be a bad idea.
Well, no, that was a good point by Sean. That's worst case scenario is that the fans get so mad about the flag that they run down onto the field. But
or throw stones at the bus.
Yeah. I mean, I do think that's what security is for. I mean, to me, I don't know. I don't feel like, yes, of course they're provoking, but it's not a reason to rush in from the crowd and attack a Michigan football player. That'd be idiotic because you would lose that fight.
No, I get it. I mean, here's the thing. Yes, you're saying that Ohio State should have tucked their tail between their legs and just left the field, but it's still their home field. I get it. They just
where were
lost.
they the 60 minutes before?
Well, fair question. Kevin is in San Antonio. Kevin, what do you think about flag planting?
What I think about it is very disrespectful. It's just like, remember that water bottles in Texas and Georgia?
Yep.
And it's something similar. People just lost respect now.
Yeah, Kevin, I think the big question is, did they ever have it? And thank you so much for the phone call. The flag planting, like fans throwing stuff on the field, we've been seeing that for a long time. But this
some of
idea
your Bills
of flag
fans
planting.
Which is worse? Your Bills fans, I guess, were throwing at the kicker right before.
I'm sure. The snowballs. They did that last year against the Steelers, remember?
Yeah, that's not good, by the way. Even Philly fans wouldn't throw it right at the kicker as he's about to kick.
Yeah, you would.
No. They like him when they're coming through the tunnel and they have a much better access to hit him right in the face.
Better angle. Can we quickly hear the Gus Johnson end of the game? Michigan wins, and he had an interesting way to sum it up for Sharon Moore, the head coach of the Wolverines.
Sharon Moore says we didn't cheat this time.
Okay. Listen, I get it. The Connor Stallions cheating scandal, it happened. I know we don't want to talk about it anymore, or it kind of came and went, but Perloff, it is part of Michigan's history, is it not?
Yeah, but I mean, it's been revealed that, 80% of the programs are stealing signs?
But still, they crossed a line.
Yeah, they got caught crossing the line. I mean, I guess Ohio State steals signs all the time, right? Wasn't that revealed in the documentary?
Well, but I don't know if they were sending guys in fake mustaches, basically, or fake hoodies or whatever to go sit on the sidelines at Central Michigan.
Right. But Michigan, I mean, come on. They obviously, that all happened and they went out and kicked everyone's butt. I mean, I don't think anyone except Gus Johnson was thinking that.
That's where I was going with it. Now,
yeah.
I know Sharon Moore, I think, had to turn over a cell phone or something. I'm trying to remember the details of the investigation. But what was interesting about what Gus said is last year, maybe that's the call at the end, because he had already been caught. Jim Harbaugh was suspended. They couldn't have been stealing signs at that point. They'd been stupid. This year, I feel like we kind of put it behind us. I was surprised he brought it up.
Yeah, no, it sounded insane. But, I mean, listen, Gus obviously has one giant rooting interest for Deion. This game, I thought he was impartial between Michigan and Ohio State. I guess he's an Ohio State fan.
Or just not a Michigan fan.
Yeah, I mean, it does seem like he has an issue there. But still, great having him on the game.
Great call. 855-212-4227. Flag planting. Should it be banned? Also, who's going to get that last spot in the college football playoff? Could it be Alabama?
Who's that name lighting up the stream? It's Pine Needle living the dream. Dropping hot takes a little bit of flair. Always in the chat like they own the air. Got a thing sharper than a pine tree tip. Dropping one-liners that really hit. Is it wisdom? Is it luck? Pine Needle's here and they don't give a truck. Pine Needle, king of the screen. Streaming the scene like a chat room machine. Dropping those comments, short and mean, but deep down we know you're a dream. Mystery lingers like needles on the ground. Nobody knows where Pine Needle is found. Are they from the mountains or just the net? All we know is we'll never forget. Stirring up chaos, but it's all in fun. Trolls beware, cause Pine Needle's won. A legend's born in the YouTube scroll. When Pine Needle's here, they take control. Pine Needle, king of the screen. Streaming the scene like a chat room machine. Dropping those comments, sharp and mean, but deep down we know you're a dream. Branches sway, but that they stay strong. Living in the forest of the internet throng. Rooted in sarcasm, watered with wit. Pine Needle's presence, yeah, it's lit. So next time you're lurking and you see that name, no, Pine Needle's playing their game. Like a whisper in the digital breeze, Pine Needle reigns with effortless ease. Pine Needle. Pine Needle, king of the screen. Streaming the scene like a chat room machine. Dropping those comments, sharp and mean, but deep down we know you're a dream. Pine Needle. Young Perloff hit the flea market stand, a $10 bill in his sweaty little hand. He said, I need ninja stars, the kind that can slice. Kids need weapons, this country's too nice. At Erica's Soft Pizzeria Shane, kids need throwing stars to up their game. All Peter Bellatti's messing around, skipping work again, he's nowhere to be found.
Andrew Bogusch, man, he's starting to steam. Maggie and Perloff said, Dave's songs are a meme. All sound the same? Oh, that's just insane. But Bogusch knows deep down there's more to the pain. Maggie Gray's cruising and her EV's so sleek, but the battery is low, man, it's starting to squeak. She's stuck going 40 on the highway lane. People honking loud, driving Maggie insane. Oh, Maggie's riding stumble, but what's the bigger crime? doing that work, avoiding space. Oh, Maggie's riding slow, but what's the bigger crime? People on, he's out of work for the 100th time. Lower Marion, where the courts shine bright. Andrew Perloff's got game day and night. He's a star on JV, got the skills to pay, but Ernest Pendleton still got something to say.
Maggie Gray's husband's got a special touch when it comes to foot rubs. He does so much, her feet are huge, they're hard to beat, but he massages them from heel to street. Oh, Maggie got giant feet, her husband's rubs, oh so sweet. But where's Pete? Yeah, where's Pete Bellotti? He's skipping work and it's getting spotty.
Was sneaking in the back of the class, orange and Perloff scribbling, knew she had to act fast. The question on the page, yeah, looked kinda tough, but Maggie leaned in, cause cheating ain't that rough. Maggie's a Raiders fan, silver and black, watches Maggie and Perloff
on the Infinity Sports Network.
Huge weekend, NFL college football. Let's pause on college for a second because carnage. That's the way to put it. Ohio State losing to Michigan was just the tip of the iceberg, Perloff, and now we've got all this jumbled mess at the bottom of the 12-team college football playoff because Miami losing may have really opened the door for another SEC team to back their way into this college football playoff. Did I say hi, by the way? Hi, it's Maggie and Andrew. Good morning. Perloff, what I'm talking about here is, first of all, Ohio State losing, they've got to get their act back together because they are making the college football playoff. And if they have any shot of Ryan Day keeping his job or them actually trying to get to the national title game, you have to use this off time of not going to the Big Ten championship game and really try to find out who you are and what's really the identity of the offense. And are they going to be a throwing team or are they going to be a running team? And then the second part too, Pearl, we mentioned that Miami loss. Miami goes to the Carrier Dome, they lose, okay? This is on the same day that South Carolina beat Clemson. So now Clemson is going to play SMU in the ACC championship game. If SMU wins, okay, you're probably just getting one team in from the ACC. But if Clemson somehow beats SMU, then there's no shot that EJ's Hurricanes are getting in.
Nope.
And there's probably no shot that another SEC team is getting in because I know Alabama and Ole Miss and South Carolina are all hoping and praying that SMU beats Clemson and that Miami gets knocked out of the college football playoff. And there's one more spot open for an SEC team with 3 losses.
Yeah, well, first of all, it seems unlikely that Clemson can beat SMU. They're 1.5-point dogs right now, but I wonder, SMU's obviously playing better. Is SMU take their foot off the gas because they think they can be in that large bid anyway?
I'd rather have the bye or I don't even know if they're going to get a first-round bye. I think they would over the Big 12 champion, and if obviously Boise State takes care of business, they will get a bye.
Not intentionally take your foot off the gas, but just sort of let down a little bit because you know you're in. Where Clemson is playing for their playoff life. I do wonder about that. That's the only thing is a desperation. Because Clemson, if you look at what happened to them in the second half, they couldn't even get a yard. Yeah. Their offense was terrible, and that's happened a lot this year. Where they're really good, Kate Klubnik has a great game, and then when it matters, they just fold offensively. So we'll see. They do not feel like a very good team right now. I think maybe the desperation factor plays out. I think SMU is a dangerous team in this 12-team playoff too. They're kind of like a great college team, right? Like I don't think they have a ton of pros, but they seem to like really understand like how to move the ball in college. I think it's really interesting. If there's anywhere close, get Alabama in there, right? That's what the committee's going to do. You need Alabama for this field for ratings.
I don't think you need anybody for ratings. This is a college football one-and-done tournament now. I think the ratings are going to take care of itself.
You think an SMU versus Tennessee game would rate like Alabama versus Penn State? I think they double it.
But again, like, I don't think they're going to have trouble getting viewers. Now, will the committee base some of their selections off of brand?
Yes.
Probably. But if that's Alabama versus Ole Miss, then maybe I'm feeling a little bit nervous. If I'm Ole Miss, am I going to win out if I'm Alabama versus South Carolina? Miami, I think, is a draw. You've got Cam Ward is your Heisman, one of the Heisman hopefuls. Obviously, Travis Hunter is in the lead. Aston Genty coming up second. But Miami also, I think, draws a lot of people in, and they have a much more interesting quarterback. I mean, Jalen Milroe is interesting because it's an adventure every time he plays, but I think Milroe now should go back to college. I don't think he's going to be a first-round draft pick. He's been so inconsistent.
Yeah, he's got to feel that guy coming in behind. He never sees the blindside rush. It's bizarre. He doesn't feel it, fumbles all the time. The problem with Milroe, too, is he's not tall. I'm not sure he's like a guarantee for the NFL anyway. He doesn't really throw the ball that often. I love him. I'm a big fan. I think you got to get them in there. And I think actually they unless this scenario happens where Clemson gets the spot, I think Alabama's the team that jumps up.
855-212-4227. I think a lot of people would have an issue with that because Alabama's losses are bad. You lose to Oklahoma. You got smoked by Oklahoma. You lost to Vandy. I don't think they're going to look kindly. Those are two teams that are 6-6 right now. Ole Miss has actually does Ole Miss have better losses? South Carolina probably has the best losses, air quotes.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be hard for South Carolina because they lost to Alabama. So they probably can't jump them. If you're going to, because given the Alabama brand alone, but the fact that Alabama beat them, and also too, some of South Carolina's wins might not look as impressive when the whole, they beat teams like A&M. I mean, is that a good team? They beat Missouri. Is that a good team? And then they beat Clemson. I don't even know if that's a great team. So I'm not sure they have the quality wins. I think the real debate will be Miami, Alabama, because Miami does not have those quality wins at all. I mean, nowhere close.
Yeah, but that Florida win's going to look a little bit better now because Florida is finishing strong. It's not like Louisville and Duke have been total jokes. So there are some, it's not as much as Alabama, who is playing top 25 teams all over the place. Although that win over LSU for Alabama doesn't look as good now because LSU completely fell apart. Yeah, EJ.
I mean, look, a lot of Miami fans don't really want to defend this team, but we have to. That's all we got at this point. And if we're looking at Alabama versus Miami, you have to ask the question, the SEC's been down this year. Are you really going to say if SMU wins an ACC championship that no other ACC team deserves to be in? You're going to put in, 4 SEC teams at that point? That, to me, seems like a big imbalance that will be unfair. Last year, you had the FSU-Alabama debacle. Now you have this. That would look like the ACC should just fold and just go away as a conference. It doesn't matter anymore, especially when you're talking about a team like Georgia Tech, that Miami lost to, that just took Georgia to the brink. Syracuse has had some very competitive games this year. They didn't lose.
Syracuse won 8 games.
Now 9 now. They didn't lose to any teams that were quote-unquote terrible. They lost teams that were tough, that were physical, and they were very close games. Alabama lost some blowouts.
Yeah.
The Vanderbilt game, they were down multiple scores in that game.
Oklahoma was the big one.
You think the Vanderbilt game was a blowout?
They were down 14 points the first half, whatever. They had to come back. They were never in that game.
Ooh, I don't know if I agree with that. I mean, Vandy was running this crazy option all over the place. Like, that was not a blowout by any means.
But that goes back to my point, though, is that I feel like for these SEC teams, it's like these games don't matter. It's like you can have a terrible performance. You can go out there, lose 2, lose 3. It doesn't matter. Miami, you lose, or any ACC team, you lose 1 or 2 games, and because there's not that inherent respect for their opponent, you automatically want to throw them out. And I don't think that that's fair.
Well, I think the question is, the ACC is not getting 3 teams in, right?
No, it's all about Clemson if they lose. If Clemson wins, then this is a moot. Neither of these teams are going in.
So SMU has to beat Clemson in order for EJ's Miami Hurricanes to even have a prayer. And if it comes down between Miami and Alabama, that's a really interesting thing. I think probably the committee ends up taking Alabama, but it's not a given. The committee has been very good to Miami. They've been very respectful. I think because Cam Ward, and somehow they keep pulling out these games, except for that Miami game, where you had a 21-point lead. You should have won that game. You called it, though. You said weird things happen in that dome.
And the defense is horrendous. And that, to me, honestly, if I was a committee, that would make me not put Miami in. Is because I don't think that defense can win. I don't know if they can win any games. Maybe they definitely can't win 2 or 3 to make it to the national championship.
Also, your head coach, what is going on with Cristobal?
He's not bright. And I hate to say that.
You have a 4th down where the teams have been trading body blows and scores the entire second half, okay? What do we have, 80 points scored in this game? I mean, it was something nutty. You're facing, what was a 4th and 4?
It's fourth and goal from about the 9-yard line.
Okay, so this is not a gimme.
That's a tough spot.
But you end up kicking a field goal and you're still down 4. Like, you still need a touchdown here. You would have needed a touchdown if you had failed on the 4th and goal, and you still need a touchdown after you kick the field goal. Is he going to, like, the Antonio Pierce School of Coaching?
Well, he's an amateur who's parading as, like, a experienced football coach. It's bizarre at this point. Like, he knows how to recruit. He's built a good roster. But these in-game decisions, he's a liability. And that's another reason why if I was a college football playoff, I look at that too. Yeah. I'd say Kalen DeBoer went to the college football playoff and won a game. Like, you know, like he won. Like, I know they didn't play well in that championship, but he's shown that he can coach on that level. Mario Cristobal,
he will always be outcoached by whoever's across from him.
He's not a good coach. Yeah. So that's the problem with Miami is that defense and that coach is going to be a liability along with those lack of big wins. I would just argue again, the ACC has been disrespected all year. I don't think that they're that much worse than the SEC. The SEC is a mishmash of teams. Again, you're really going to put in 4 SEC teams and only 1 ACC is an automatic qualifier? That doesn't sound right to me.
Definitely. I mean, Alabama's got 3 wins over ranked teams, and Miami has none, right? Teams that are currently ranked.
Yeah, right. None right now. Yeah.
So maybe one ends up, but I don't even know if that's going to, maybe Syracuse, but yeah, generally though, that's hard to argue. I mean, Alabama would be ballistic if that happened.
855-212-4227. So we got a couple things out there for you. Got the college football playoff. Do you think Alabama's going to get in? And obviously, you need SMU to beat Clemson. That's number 1, first and foremost. And nothing's a given right now because all this stuff is I mean, we just saw, again, pure carnage over the weekend.
You know, the other thing, too, is if you see Georgia Tech outplay Georgia, got, a very, very lucky win by Georgia. I don't know who, and I guess Oregon is the one team that looks legit, but we saw the Wisconsin game too. Like anybody can play anybody right now. NIL has really created parity faster than anyone expected. I don't know who's the favorite. I know Oregon's a favorite, but after that, like who's the second favorite? Like Texas? Do we know that Texas is that good?
I don't know if I trust anybody.
Very mid right now.
Well, Arch Manning came in and scored the touchdown that they had, running for it, and I don't trust anyone. I definitely don't trust Georgia. How can you?
No, I mean they have all these pros and they still can't really tackle anybody. It's bizarre.
One other thing, a small thing that really helped potentially the SEC get 4 teams in, Tulane losing to Memphis. It looks like Boise and UNLV are going to play for the Mountain West Championship, and whoever wins that game is getting in, and that's probably it in terms of group of 5. I think there was a world where Tulane or Army might get in, but I don't think that world exists anymore after Tulane lost.
Yeah, I mean, Army's effort against Notre Dame kind of ended that. That's another team, by the way. Notre Dame, the Notre Dame and Penn State, like, you bet on those teams? What on earth? Like, what is giving you any indication of how they'll play against a major team? Nothing.
Well, at least Notre Dame has a win over Texas A&M at the beginning of the season, which feels like about 100 years ago, but they did have it.
Well, are they going to have a win over a ranked team?
They beat Louisville when they were ranked.
No, I know a team that ends up in the top 25.
No.
I don't think so.
We're also asking you a couple more college football questions off the weekend. Should flag planting be banned? Right now, 52% of you are saying yes, it should. And who was more in the wrong for the post-game brawl between Michigan and Ohio State? Who was more in the wrong? Was it Michigan for attempting to plant the flag, or was it Ohio State for trying to get that flag out of there? Everyone got pepper sprayed. That's no fun. 855-212-4227. Getting a lot of responses to our question. This one goes to the NFL. If you need one current kicker to make a 45-plus yard field goal to save your life, who would you pick? There's not a lot of inspiring answers out there. the kicking game is it's just silly right now. Okay, 855-212-4227. You can weigh in on flag planting. You can weigh in on Ohio State, Michigan, and also the college football playoff. Coming up next, we do something every Monday called the M&P 500. Whose stock is up and whose stock is down after a big weekend?
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining.
Oh, yo. L-O. Man, he's got a whip full bass swinging with flair. Behind the glass, he's waving it in the air. That bat's bright yellow, could do some harm. If he's not careful, it'll raise the alarm. EJ sitting close, looking a bit tense. He knows one wrong move could be at his expense. Man, he swings wild like he's aiming to score. EJ's ducking low, getting ready to hit the floor. Oh man, he put that bat away. Someone's bound to get hurt today. Peter Bellatti's missing again. So much for counting on our old friend. Man, he's in the zone like he's up in the plate. But one wrong swing and it could seal EJ's fate. The yellow bat's twirling, it's like a storm. EJ's leaning back trying to keep warm. Where's Peter Bellotti? Not a soul knows. He's skipping work as the legend goes, leaving Manny in his bat to take the stage. While Peter's off the grid, who knows what age. Oh man, he put that bat away. Someone's bound to get hurt today. Peter Bellatti's missing again. So much for counting on our old friend. Man, he's in the zone like he's up at the plate. But one wrong swing and it could seal EJ's fate. The yellow bat's twirling, it's like a storm. EJ's leaning back trying to keep warm. Where's Peter Bellotti? Not a soul knows. He's skipping work as the legend goes, leaving Matty in his bat to take the stage. While Peter's off the grid, who knows what age. Oh man. Welcome to the M&P 500. Buckle the fuck up. Who's on the rise and who just fucked up? Maggie and Perloff breaking shit down. Who's on top and who's the damn clown? Up and down, we're calling it out. Who's kicking ass and who's got clout? The M&P 500, the realest damn show. Winners and losers, you fucking know. Who's a legend or a coach in the shit? Who's feeling great and who's in the pit? From courts to fields, we're laying the bear. Find out who the fuck's going nowhere. Up and down, we're calling it out. Who's kicking ass and who's got clout? There's a legend on the channel, goes by monthly. Always in the chat, commenting bluntly. Maggie and Perloff know the name well. When Monthly's in the mix, there's a story to tell. Monthly's got the takes, bringing the fire. On the Infinity Sports Network, he'll never tire. From hot debates to the latest news, Monthly's comments like the fuse. There was a kid with big dreams in his eyes, wanted to reach for those starry skies. He saved up his change, packed his bag just right, signed up for space camp, aiming for flight. But Maggie Gray, with a smirk so wide, called him Sally Ride on the playground side. Hey there, astronaut, where's your rocket to Mars? Guess the spaceship's parked out back by the cars. Helmet, his NASA gear tight, but Maggie's laughter was out of sight.
15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
The M&P 500 on the Infinity Sports Network.
All right, back on Maggie Perloff. Maggie, why don't you jump in? M&P 500, stock up, stock down after an incredibly busy 4-day sports weekend.
Oh man, this was wild. Okay, so my first stock up is gotta go to Josh Allen. I gotta do it, guys. I gotta do it. Josh Allen should be the MVP of the league if it's between him and Saquon Barkley. The Bills had to rebuild basically a lot of their team because they had gotten old. And that was the reason why many people believed that the Jets were actually going to win the division. And you know what? That didn't happen. And this team has been really fun to watch. They clinched the AFC. And a weekend where a lot of teams looked really shaky. Bills looked great last night against a depleted 49ers team.
I mean, honestly, I totally agree. Like, he's great candidate for MVP. Like, you got to have bigger goals right now, though. Like, the AFC is down, majorly down, and it feels like Buffalo's up. But I don't know about last night. Like, did that tell us anything? I'm just curious.
Yeah, it tells you a few things. One, this team has not actually been particularly good in the snow. And you'll remember very
San Francisco
specifically.
has.
Yeah, you remember specifically a playoff game they lost to the Cincinnati Bengals in Buffalo when the weather forecast was clear, then all of a sudden started to snow right before the game. So this was a big deal.
What about the Niners injuries, though?
Well, listen, I mean, I get why Brock Purdy played. I
but
understand.
Bosa didn't play. So.
Bosa didn't play. Trent Williams didn't play. I get it.
Yeah.
But that's also like it wasn't a tight game either. They won 35-10.
Right. Yeah, I mean, Josh Allen will have many, many more potential MVP moments the rest of this way. My stock up is going to be Russell Wilson, who cannot get into the MVP conversation. But if he'd started from week one, he would be right there. You know, he famously hasn't gotten any MVP votes. Yesterday, 29 for 38, 414 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick, which I think he said later wasn't even his own fault. It's crazy. It is bananas how good Russell Wilson is. Remember all that should they go Justin Fields, Russell Wilson conversation?
Well, Fields
were we crazy?
Yes, we were. Fields still gets in a little bit. And, you know, Russ started the game with a pick 6. I thought this was going to be a terrible game for Wilson. And then they scored on the next, 5 of 7 drives or 5 of 6 drives, 4 touchdowns, and two field goals.
I can't believe we were worried that remember the narrative? Is he killing his Hall of Fame legacy? Now he's more first ballot than ever. This is probably his most impressive season because we knew he could do it in Seattle. We had no idea if he could do it somewhere else. And I love this point. I've seen a lot of this. What an indictment on Nathaniel Hackett. How bad must he have been in Denver to make this guy look terrible?
We know how bad he is. Spicy. It was the worst hire anyone could have made. He's going to be on lists for all time of terrible coaching hires. And Rodgers should want to get rid of him too. Okay, if there's stock up, there's got to be stock down. You mentioned Steelers. I'm going to go with someone in the AFC North. Perloff, against your Philadelphia Eagles yesterday, you probably thought you were getting a gift from the football gods. Someone has put a hex or a curse or something on Justin Tucker. 19 for 27 on the season for field goals, 42 of 44 for extra points. Yesterday, he missed a 47-yarder, a 53-yarder, and an extra point. And those 2 missed field goals both came in the third quarter when his team was trailing by 2 points. You needed this dude yesterday, and he was completely let the Ravens down.
I mean, strong analytics people don't believe in hexes. I agree with you, though. There's some sort of voodoo going on here.
I don't have another explanation.
It's in his head. And it stinks to see it because he's still a Hall of Fame quarterback. Honestly, you're right. They gifted that game. I think the Eagles might have won even if Tucker did hit those. They really established themselves. Their defense just looked great. I was wondering, too, did you see Lamar Jackson after the game? He's like, why wasn't Lamar Jackson running more? He said he wanted to utilize the receivers in this game. And, of course, Nelson Aguilar had a nice drop. Thank you, Eagles, former Eagle. Okay, my stock down. Also a quarterback, Kirk Cousins.
Tough one.
Big fan of him, obviously. His career has been crazy, but he's got to go to the bench. It just looked that pick where he was rolling and threw a lollipop in the end zone, and different Chargers were standing underneath it. That cost him the game. That particular play cost him the game. Atlanta should have won. They should have beaten the Chargers, but Cousins was terrible. Again, takes 2 years to come off an Achilles. I think Cousins needs more time. It's time to try Penix. And it actually is not just about the future. I think Penix, we don't know what Penix is, the first round pick, but he might give you a better chance to win right now. So it's time for a change.
I got another stock up for you. Leonard Williams with the pick 6.
I thought it was going to be another Bill.
No, I could have gone with Matt Milano coming back, but I wanted to spread around the love a little. Leonard Williams, who was a draft pick of the Jets, then was traded to the Giants and failed on two teams that failed miserably, right?
Yeah.
And he finally gets traded again to Seattle, comes back to MetLife Stadium yesterday against the Jets, and has a pick 6. I mean, how could nobody catch him? Leonard Williams, nicknamed Big Cat. Not exactly cat-like reflexes. This was like a thick 6 that went for half the field. Usually those don't happen that way.
Well, half the Jets roster is like 35 and up, so.
They had walkers out there trying to catch him. So good for Leonard Williams, who was discarded by 2 New York teams, lands in Seattle, and now they're first place of the division.
Well, who is it better for Leonard Williams or for Geno Smith to win?
Well, Geno also throws a signature interception on basically every game.
Yeah. And Sam Darnold wins again. I love the Vikings are the quietest 10-2 in the history of the NFL.
Man, that was a big Sam Darnold game yesterday. That final drive, and then obviously Kyler Murray throwing a game-sealing interception. They were down 2 scores, the Vikings, and came back and won that game.
Yeah.
What's that
by
like?
the way, did you see the Geno Smith RIP Bozo tweet yesterday? After the Jets beating the Jets, posted the guy at the funeral. RIP Bozo.
Oh no, I didn't see that.
Oh, you got to check out Geno Smith's Twitter. Memes.
Can I do one more stock up real quick?
Yeah, of course.
The New England Patriots. EJ keeps talking about the tank jobs out there. The fact that Drake May looks amazing and they're still finding creative ways to lose. Bring it on, dude. You're going to add Travis Hunter to that roster or somebody awesome. I don't know if you keep the coach. I know, Maggie, you don't seem to be a big fan of Gerard Mayo, but Drake May is really, really good. That's exciting times in New England. Could not work out better.
Yeah, they keep being in these games and keep losing these games. Gerard Mayo, the 68-yard field goal attempt. I don't think that one's going to go.
Because it missed by 2.5 feet. I actually watched it again. Like, it easily could have gotten there. If with a little bit of gust of wind. And that guy will hit a 68-yarder, too. And you're going to look, 68-yarder is going to be the new 50.
Can someone hit an extra point?
No, you can't. That's the price you pay for these long field goals.
Hearing some interesting theories from our chat, youtube.com/InfinitySportsNet. If you're in there, please hit subscribe. You may think you're subscribed and you're not subscribed. They think there's chip in the ball. Throwing off the weight of the ball. They think maybe guys are afraid to really plant their feet and legs sometimes because of some of the different types of turf.
But why are they hitting longers?
They're not hitting them anymore.
But they're hitting the long ones, though.
But not anymore. We're talking about 53-yarders from Justin Tucker are getting hooked.
Right.
Brandon Aubrey and Chris Boswell are the only 2 guys who can actually hit field goals right now.
But they're still Aubrey is so far away. And I think how many 60+ have we already seen this season? I'll look at the numbers. Hold on.
Only thing is, I feel like there's been a big change from earlier this season.
Yes,
to
I
now,
agree with that.
And it's not just the weather getting worse.
Yeah,
a lot of the stuff is indoors.
So we saw Tyler Bass hit a 61-yarder this season. I mean, Tyler Bass, for God's sake. Sly hit a 63-yarder. Aubrey hit a 60-yarder. We've had more 60-yard field goals this year than basically all of NFL history up until
Okay, but how many have been missed?
Not many. 60. They're good at the bombs. They're getting terrible at the short ones now.
Crazy.
Even the good kickers. Fairbairn was unstoppable, and he is an adventure now.
He missed a chip shot last week. Remember that one? Music is not running anymore, but that's fine. But it's fine. The 2 other ones that are from a couple days ago, Matt Eberflus, stock down because he no longer has a job. Because I've never seen that poor of clock management at the end of a game, and then also a guy getting fired on a holiday, and basically the world's like, yeah, He deserved it. Generally, you don't fire people. I think on holidays, it kind of feels a little heartless and cold.
But they fired him on Friday, though, right?
Sure. But, okay, the holiday weekend.
Oh, I mean, listen.
They had to get him up on
That was
there.
overdue. I mean, you can't wait till Monday in that spot, right?
No, and they let him talk to the media at 9 o'clock in the morning and then fired him at like 11. Stupid. Anyway, the Heat was so bad at the end of the game.
You would have not fired Matt Eberflus?
No, I'm just saying I would have never brought Eberflus back. You and I talked about that quite a bit. But
As far as the timing, though, like, how do you think they should have handled that?
no, you have to fire him. It's just rare that someone gets fired on a holiday and the villagers rejoice. You know? Feels a little heartless.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying.
No, I don't think in the NFL season. I don't. First of all, I don't think NFL teams really. Yeah, I think you had to fire him Friday.
You had to.
Yeah, and it
you had
better
one
Friday.
timeout left. You didn't get a freaking playoff. I mean,
They
it was
could have
just
waited till
stupid.
today too, but then you're like, wouldn't that be almost more cruel?
Maybe. And then obviously the end of the Raider game. End of the Raider game where Aiden O'Connell is basically putting together the drive of his life to try to beat the Chiefs again and comes up short because the right guard tapped the center. Seemed like everyone had the cadence right, but O'Connell clapped his hands and then was looking off into the distance, and the ball hit him right in the chest. And then went down on the ground.
Hey, what's going on? I don't know if we have it on the rundown. Where are the Chiefs? Like, what is this team? What happened to Travis Kelce? I know. Is Kelce, he was about the 5th best tight end on the field yesterday. Or, sorry, Thursday.
Friday. Sure.
Whatever. 13 targets, 6 catches, 2 major drops. Like, he's bad now. Is this going to turn around? Is there a certain point where they can't just pull a magic trick and become good in the playoffs? I mean, if I'm betting, I saw that they're falling in the futures. Like, they're not the favorite anymore. This is probably the story of the season right now, is that the best team is not good at football.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think the Lions took over as Super Bowl favorites before the holiday, but until we see what the Chiefs are in the postseason, don't you have to withhold judgment here?
So the Eagles jumped the Chiefs too. I don't know.
They're 11-1.
Yeah, I know.
They have the inside. Well, they don't have the inside track on the number 1 seed, but they have the number 1 seed right now.
They got a block kick to beat the Broncos, who are not great. They lost to your Bills, and then they got really lucky to beat the Panthers, who are not great. And then they just basically let the Raiders drive down for what should have been a game-winning field goal. Something's wrong.
Yeah, something's wrong. But again, until we see the postseason, I don't think you can say declaratively the old Chiefs aren't lurking around there somewhere.
Yeah, and also Mahomes drops back. He has no idea where to go with the ball. I think they get Hollywood Brown back. He does not like his receivers right now.
Well, I mean, what do you need? You got Hardman. You've got DeAndre Hopkins.
Well,
you still have Kelsey out there.
They're not throwing to Hopkins enough. Yeah, and Kelsey do you still have Kelsey out there? I mean, honestly, I would shift a lot of those targets to Noah Gray.
Yeah, you got him. Yeah. Did I mention Hardman?
Hardman. I mean, he's a borderline NFL player. I just think that you're in trouble.
Caught the game-winning touchdown in the Super Bowl.
Former Jet.
Yeah.
And that.
Yeah.
Trying to make a case for him, Manny, not against him.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Borderline NFL player.
855-212-4227. If you have a stock up or a stock down from the weekend, stock up. Andrew Bogusch was here with us for headlines.
These headlines are sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Protect your home and auto. Save when you bundle. Get a quote at progressive.com. This season cannot end soon enough for the 49ers. They entered Sunday Night Football in Buffalo without 5 starters, plus Brock Purdy, Fred Warner, and others playing hurt. And then Christian McCaffrey went down again in the second quarter. They believe it's his PCL, and it could be season-ending. The Niners eventually losing to the Bills 35-10, extending their losing streak to 3 and dropping them into last place in the NFC West. Head coach Kyle Shanahan.
Real disappointed. We got a lot more pride in this, and I know we definitely know we have some people out and stuff, but we can play a lot better than that.
His team is 1 game behind the Cardinals and Rams, who are 1 game behind the Seahawks. The Bills, on the other hand, are AFC East champs after their 7th win in a row. Josh Allen scoring touchdowns, throwing, running, and receiving.
This one feels a little bit different. This early in the season, we still got 5 games left. So the cool thing about it, like, you get to go out there, we get to go out there, and we get to play free, right? There's really no repercussions for what we're doing. But at the same time, we're chasing the 1 seed. We understand that, we know that, and we got to keep getting better each and every week.
That 1 seed, as Maggie just said, belongs to the Chiefs at the moment. The Bills are 1 game behind them, but have the head-to-head win in case of a tie. And also the Bills, the first team since 2009 to clinch with 5 games remaining. So this sucked yesterday.
Under center is Trevor. Play fake. Rolling to his left, looking downfield. Trevor's looking. He wants to run it to midfield. Slides it. Oh, he got drilled. What in the world? He absolutely got drilled, and there's a melee, and I don't blame him. He slid to the ground. He's still on the ground. That's about as cheap a shot as you'll ever see in the NFL.
It's a brawl. It's a flat-out brawl.
That's Jaguars radio. Azeez Al-Shire's nasty, illegal hit on Trevor Lawrence. The Jags QB left with a concussion. The Texans linebacker ejected from the game. His head coach, D'Amico Ryans, doing his best to defend him.
That's not what we're coaching. It's just want to be smart in everything we do and not hurt the team, get a penalty there. We just have to be smarter when the quarterback is going down. Just an unfortunate play, not representative of who Azeez is.
But apparently it might be, because this guy has a long list of clips of him with borderline illegal hits.
Well, he's throwing punches against the Bears and got fined. So I think this kind of is who he is.
Yeah, Texans don't feel like a serious team. Like I love D'Amico Ryans. They don't feel well coached or disciplined. Like they will play down to anybody.
Oh, Mac Jones at least tied the game yesterday if Doug Peterson wasn't game managing that way to a loss. But the fact that Jones came in and they still made that a game was
the
surprising.
Texans. They're at least they have Nico Collins back and like they're a real team again. But they look completely non-threatening. Like, does anybody scared of them in the playoffs?
I mean, listen, they already beat my Bills once this season, so you got to have a healthy respect, I guess. But it does not look the same. I'll give you that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I just don't feel like C.J. Stroud feels really confident. Like, that's another guy. He drops back. Does it look like he knows where he's going? If it's not Nico Collins, it's trouble. It really stinks that Stephon Diggs isn't there. I think that would have helped.
Yeah, I mean, that was a major acquisition for them. But Joe Mixon, is also a major acquisition. He's had games where he's looked really good, and he actually was effective yesterday. But here's the thing about that hit. So I think sometimes you want to give the defender the benefit of the doubt when the quarterback is sliding, because you're trying to hit a moving target. It's not like him in the pocket, surveying the field or whatever. Do you listen, he led with the forearm. You don't want that to happen, and Shire doesn't get the benefit of the doubt. But is there any wiggle room here that maybe that wasn't as dirty as we thought because Trevor Lawrence was sliding a little bit late?
I'd kick him out. I'd do 6 games and end this season. Personally, wow. I think it's over for him. Because of the way he led with the elbow.
Yeah.
He's also got a reputation now.
Yeah,
he's punching the guys on the Bears during the other Sunday Night Football game earlier this year.
Well, NFL's been ludicrously light on concussions this year. Like, they've let guys in almost immediately, time and time and time again. Like, they need to step up here. Like, that can't be. Otherwise, it doesn't look like they're taking head injuries seriously.
So I couldn't even find the clip of this hit on NFL.com. I wanted to hear the TV call to see how it sounded in comparison to the radio call.
Yeah.
And there's a story, obviously, about the hit and the play and the fight, but the embedded video is a different highlight from that game, and you can't find the hit anywhere on their website.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's their own product, right? So they want to only accentuate the positive stuff, not the negative. But then Lawrence gets carted off the field, a golf cart, not like in a stretcher.
Yeah, he rides off.
He sent a tweet last night saying he's, thank you for the thoughts and for all the positivity, but I don't understand why he would play again the rest of this year. He just came back yesterday. They've have 2 wins this season? Jaguars? 2, 3, whatever it is. There's no reason for him to step on the field again.
Yeah, and now it's a Tua situation. When he comes back next year, you're going to be waiting for every hit and see if it's bad. It was a bad scene altogether. And the fact that, the Jaguars rightfully should have tried to fight that guy. I don't even know if it should have been offsetting penalties. I would have given, was it offsetting or, I think it was offsetting.
I believe so, yeah. They gave Evan Ingram, I think it was somebody they gave a flag to.
Yeah, and they said that they couldn't flag Al-Shire again because he didn't leave the field and he started another fight, that he couldn't be flagged anymore because he was already ejected from the game.
Now it's just a fine or whatever.
Come on, Goodell.
I think Goodell might keep him off the field because he seems like a problem waiting to happen for the NFL.
By the way, that would really hurt the Texans, though,
Yeah,
because he
definitely.
is one of their starting defensive players, and this is a team that's going to win the division and be a Super Bowl contender.
He's a captain, so they definitely rely on him. And during the Bears incident, D'Amico Ryans was very quick to defend Al-Shaair there. So this one, not so much.
Well, you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes.
True.
Make a stupid play like that, and you're going to get suspended for 4, 5, 6 games. Hurt team's chances.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't it a personal foul that cost them the game against the Lions? I think it was. They had basically, they do stupid things.
At a certain point, you also have to blame like the front office and the general manager and the coaches. Like you can say, well, we don't condone this. Well, we know who Al-Shaair is, right? Like at a certain point, you can't keep saying, well, we don't condone this or we don't coach this. You know who the player is. You know what he brings to the table. Similar to Kareem Jackson last year with Sean Payton. Like these guys have reputations. If you bring them into your facility and they're playing the way they're playing, you can no longer do the, well, we didn't know, well, we don't condone. Like I put this squarely on the Texans organization because they may have ruined the Jaguars forever. Like that's not out of the question. Like I don't know if Trevor Lawrence was ever going to turn it around, but we know he's a great talent, and now he may never be the same player because this guy took him out, and that to me is unfortunate.
What else we got, folks?
These rankings don't matter, but maybe they're a hint at what the CFP committee might do tomorrow night. Ohio State dropping from 2nd to 7th, Miami 8th to 14th, Clemson 12th to 18th in the new AP poll, all after their losses over the weekend. Temple hiring Casey Keeler, its new head coach. He just led Sam Houston State from FCS into FBS, winning 9 games this season. He also knows that area after 11 years as Delaware's head coach. The Knicks played last night. The Pelicans did not. New Orleans scored just 28 points in the first half before losing at MSG 118-85. Mikal Bridges went from being benched in the previous Knicks game to scoring 31 in this one. And the Boston Bruins beat the Canadiens last night 6-3 on the 100th anniversary of the first game in franchise history. They played Montreal that night as well, but back then they were known as the Maroons. Guys, back to you.
Bogish, thanks so much. Coming up, lots more to do, including who is a real threat to win it all in college football. We get to that next. M&P.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes.
Alley ride on the playground side. Hey there, astronaut, where's your rocket tomorrow?
Oh, yeah. Oh, there's a sports guy in town you'd never guess. Underneath that cool collected press, he's a Broadway buff, a devotee with dreams as grand as a marquee. By day he talks players and stats galore, but at night he's ready to roar. He's got Broadway tunes running through his veins. In his heart he's chasing the footlights ring. Andrew Perloff, the king of Broadway lights, trading touchdowns and games for starry nights. He's the phantom shadow, Valjean's might. There's a sports guy in town you.
There's a sports guy we know, he talks games every day. But there's more to this fella, in a secret kind of way. When the bright lights shine and the curtains rise, there's a glimmer of Broadway in his eye. They say he's a fan, but that's only the start. Met fans woke up to a miracle sight. We beat Perloff Phillies for the first damn night. Maggie's got some giant feet, they're the talk of the town. When she walks the sidewalk cracks, she's bringing buildings down. She tried to buy some shoes, but they said no way. Now she's wearing boat sails just to get through the day. Maggie's giant feet, they're a real big deal. Stepping on poles, creating legs for real. Maggie's giant feet, they make a mighty thud. But Maggie just laughs, hey, it's all in good fun. She went to a dance, cleared out the floor. Her feet made the music, folks yelled for more. At the beach she's a hit, making giant sand castles. Her footprint's so big, they're like dinosaur battles. She went to a dance, cleared out the floor. Her feet made the music, folks yelled for more. At the beach she's a hit, making giant sand castles. Her footprint's so big, they're like dinosaur battles.
Believe Belotti's got something to say. Infinity's mice, he's feeling the dismay. No NBA on NBC, what a shame. Just JJ Redick's wine ain't the same. Peter Bellotti is getting upset. Maggie, Perloff, can you hear his plea? Bring back the NBA on NBC. Set his spirit free, he misses Mar. Co-stars and the crew, those were the days. Pete cries out boo, boo. Bring it back, oh can't you see? Bring back the NBA on NBC. Let it be. Pete's mad, he's feeling sad. Bring it back, oh make it right. Peter Bellotti, he made a prediction. Said that he gonna win. Celtics got no conviction, but now he's hiding, running away, won't own up to his words, can't face the decision.
Hey, dirty, look at that girl right there. She make me say, boom, boom.
8 overtimes. Count them up. Took 8 overtimes for Georgia to beat one of their rivals in Georgia Tech. Hey, welcome to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. And this was a wild game because the score was 20-6 in the fourth quarter and Georgia Tech was winning. And then all of a sudden in the span of like 2 minutes, and part of it was a strip sack by Georgia safety Dan Jackson, all of a sudden Georgia scored 2 touchdowns, just like really fast, got themselves back into the game. And the final score, Perloff, 44-42. The game was 20-6 in the fourth quarter. This was a wild one. Not very inspiring, though, if I'm Georgia, to be honest.
Oh, my God. Absolutely not. Where are all those NFL defensive players? Why can't they tackle Georgia Tech at all? It was 27-13 with 2:40 left in the game.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, how Georgia Tech lost this game. And also, too, they were just they were dominating Georgia physically. That is insane.
Well,
Georgia is Georgia.
Haynes King put up an all-time performance. 300 passing yards, 110 rushing yards, 5 total touchdowns for Haynes King. So this dude is a baller.
I'll get out of here.
Dan
Haynes
Jackson
King?
probably was targeting on the strip sack and maybe could have even gotten ejected from the game. They put up a good fight, but ultimately Georgia Tech falls. They're 7-5, so they'll go to a bowl. But I think the bigger thing here is about Georgia, to your point. Why does the defense not look nearly as dominant as it has in years past? And 2, now that Carson Beck is not throwing interceptions, but you're still not really getting the offense going. The reason why this game got to 44-42 is because of the 8 overtimes, not because Beck was lighting it up.
Well, it feels like when Georgia in the second half needs to get it going, like all of a sudden their offense wakes up and Carson Beck can throw again. And it's these long, weird, dry stretches. But then again, like, who's better than them? I understand. I was actually a little surprised. Are they? I mean, honestly, do you feel super comfortable if you're – how? Who does Oregon beat?
Well, they are the only ones who got through this entire season without a loss. They're the only ones who got through unscathed.
Well, again, who did they beat?
They beat Ohio State.
So what? Ohio State has a coaching staff full of idiots.
Listen, Ohio State was a 3-touchdown favorite against Michigan. I can't help what the result was. All I can tell you is that they were massively favored. They laid a gigantic egg in that
Again, though, the way Oregon's schedule laid out, they're like Notre Dame. It's just so hard to tell what's going to happen when they go against these other teams.
So here's what it sets up. It sets up Georgia and Texas in the SEC championship game. Now, remember, this was the very famous game back in October when Georgia creamed Texas. The final score was 30-15, but it's most remembered because the fans of Texas threw a bunch of bottles and other things on the field when a call they didn't like didn't go their way. And then it got turned and did go their way.
Exactly. That's obviously not going to happen here. Games in Atlanta. I'm actually surprised that Texas is favored. Is Tex like yours? Doesn't either he's not healthy or he's just not effective. Like he's not scaring me right now. So I think that game's a complete toss-up. Like I don't really have a vibe one way or the other.
Well, he's definitely not 100%. I mean, the fact they're bringing in Arch Manning for some of these run plays is a smart thing to do, and I think we're going to see more Arch Manning against Georgia.
Yeah, but I mean, still, like they need to move the ball with Ewers. Like that's the big issue. Like Georgia, and also Georgia's defense, they obviously can't stop the run, but they could get after the quarterback like they did in the last game. Remember, they were just torturing Texas's O-line last game. I think it's very interesting. I looked at the odds. So Oregon's number one, but Georgia, Texas, and Ohio State are right on their heels. Like Georgia's still plus 475 to win the title, so 4-1. Like I don't understand college football this year because it feels like anybody could lose to anybody.
Yeah, this Georgia team does not feel like a national title winner.
But
neither does Ohio State. I think this has got to be, Oregon's got to be feeling really good about this tournament.
Really? I feel like
I think they're going to beat Penn State in the Big Ten title game, and so you're going to have the number one overall seed.
I just think like you say feel really good. How can anybody feel good this year?
We're in a new era, and you're trying to figure out what does it actually take to win all these games. And again, I don't think that Oregon has the best quarterback in the field. They don't have the best wide receivers in the field. I don't know if they have the best defense in the field, but I think
we just don't know. That's the
team
thing.
At least we haven't seen the type of identity changes of Georgia that we've seen lately. We have not seen those lately from Oregon. That was like early in the season when they were winning down to the wire games against Idaho.
Yeah, it just feels like this with NIL and parity, anybody can play down to anybody. Yes, talent-wise, Oregon is awesome. They should be fine, but everybody, and I think they kind of probably do have the best quarterback in this field because obviously Shador won't be in the field. Cam Ward probably won't be in the field. So Dylan Gabriel is probably next on that list. They have an advantage. Yeah, I just think it's unknown. I just think the way college football is this year, the fact that Georgia Tech goes out and really punches Georgia in the face, and then Michigan beats Ohio State, like nobody saw this coming.
No, the Ohio State loss really shook everybody up.
Yeah, honestly, Georgia shook me up.
And that shook everyone up too. I think partially why the Ohio State one was so crazy is because you just saw Ohio State beat Indiana. And while the final score wasn't so lopsided, that was, I would say, decisive. It was a very convincing Ohio State win over Indiana. And then this, right? 20-plus point favorite. They lose to Michigan and kind of got just totally outclassed. Yeah. And then same thing now with Georgia. It's like just every time you think they're going to turn it around, all of a sudden here comes, an 8 overtime game to beat Georgia Tech.
Wouldn't it be amazing if the first year of the 12-team playoff we saw a true Cinderella college basketball style like Boise State? That would be the most entertaining thing. See Ashton
SMU?
Genty? Yeah, I mean specifically the Boise State with Genty would be pretty awesome. SMU with Kevin Jennings would be amazing. Like all these, I just think it's a weird year. There's really one great team in Oregon, but again, like you say they're going to beat Penn State. Do you really feel that comfortable about that?
Well, I'm just kind of going on the big game, James.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but it still feels like,
especially that ironically, obviously.
Again, because there's no urgency in that game either. I think that affects the game. Both teams know they're in. So are they really, really going to be all there for that? It's just everything's different. This is totally unprecedented territory. We have no idea how this 12-team playoff is going to affect teams.
In the chat, already making predictions. Abe Drinkin is our pal, youtube.com/InfinitySportsNet. Penn State 31, Oregon 24. Bet it.
Feels like Oregon could bail this game in. I don't know what based on that. I mean, they haven't had.
Then could Penn State then be the number 1 overall seed, and then you go to 5 most likely. So I know 5 being seeded 5th can be a little bit of a I don't want to say cushy.
Yeah, that's a great spot.
It could be a good spot because you don't get the bye. Now that would be much better, but you will get the. What would it be?
You get the 12.
The 12 seed
at home, and then you get the 4
I think
next.
the 4-5. No, there'll be the 4 seed next.
The 4 seed next, and then
You know what's going to happen. You know who's getting the 5 seed.
No.
Notre Dame.
Oh yeah, Notre Dame could get the 5 seed anyway.
There's a weird scenario though that if Clemson beats SMU, Clemson could be that 12. And now if you're Oregon, do you want to play Clemson in an opening
Heck
game?
yeah. Oh my God, yes.
Supposed to having a bye?
Oh.
But think about it. You don't think of Clemson today. Think of Clemson after beating SMU. But I don't believe in Cape Club Nick.
I'd almost rather see Clemson than Boise.
Okay. Famous last words.
Coming up, every NFL game recapped for you in 60 seconds or less.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Takes the snap, quick hitter, thrown behind, but somehow caught, and now lateral to Allen, and reaching for the pylon. Are you kidding me? It's a touchdown! Unbelievable!
Bills radio, unbelievable scene last night in Buffalo. We expect snow, Pearl, but that was coming down hard. Lake effect in full effect. Welcome to the show, Maggie and Pearl. So, Bills clinch the AFC East, clinch a playoff spot. Chiefs are the only other team in football who have also clinched a playoff spot. And this feels like a Josh Allen MVP year. And I know your guy Saquon Barkley is going to have a little something to say about it. But what that play did was give you a highlight, a moment, because this Bills team has been more about spreading the football out. It's been more about the run game. It's been all those things as a Bills fan I've been begging for the last 5 years. But Allen had the signature play last night.
Yeah, but who cares? I mean, not because I don't care for Saquon Barkley. Like the Bills, they need to hone in. Like there's some big games here. They go to Detroit. Is that a must-win to get the number one seed? Or are you at the point where you don't really care about the number one seed? Because like Kansas City can win anywhere. But this is a year you really have to take advantage of Kansas City being down.
Yep.
Apparently Baltimore is way down. So that leaves sort of Pittsburgh and the Chargers. This is a great opportunity, especially if Kansas City can't get its act together.
No, I think Bills, if you're asking me, they have to keep their foot on the gas because you need that number one seed. And the Chiefs are begging to lose one of these games. At some point, they're going to have to lose. I mean, how they keep escaping with these wins, like what they did against the Raiders, what they did against the Carolina Panthers, what they did against the Broncos. I mean, how they're getting these lucky wins, or maybe it's more than luck. You make your own luck, but at some point, you're hoping that the Chiefs slip up. The Bills have the head-to-head over the Chiefs, and I think you absolutely need home field advantage. You want a second crack at Kansas City going to Buffalo. You definitely want the Ravens in Buffalo. And I think the Ravens, who already beat the Bills once this year and smoked them, I think the big thing for the Ravens, they're just been a victim of the AFC North. I know they lost to your Eagles yesterday. Justin Tucker was missing 2 field goals in the third quarter and missed an extra point in a tight game. But I just think the Steelers having their number and just having these tough games in the AFC North, I think, is what makes you feel like the Ravens are not as good as they probably are.
Oh, I don't know. They lost to the Raiders, remember, famously.
That was week 2 or something.
Right. So they did have that random Cleveland loss and a random Pittsburgh loss. Yeah,
it's not random when it's Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh kind of owns them.
Right. But like they'll always. But you know the thing about them, their defense is not the same this year. It just doesn't feel like they've hit it on all cylinders. That's funny you say that. Like. I still think they have a great chance to get all the way because of Derrick Henry. But when they fall behind, man, they're just a different team. And here's the thing, Lamar cannot abandon the run. I hate to say it because I don't want to see him get hurt. But come playoff time, I want to see him run 20 times a game. Last night he did not. I thought he was giving the Eagles a huge break because there are a lot of lanes. And the other problem is field goals.
Yep.
I mean, does that going to knock them out of playoff contention?
For the Ravens, but the thing is, field goals have kind of been an issue for everybody, except for the Steelers and maybe the Cowboys. Nobody trusts their kicker these days, and especially not the Ravens. But meanwhile, so that was the Bills' signature moment last night, and for the 49ers, probably the end of the season for all intents and purposes. The Seahawks won yesterday. The Rams won. Arizona lost, but it's just been a year of injuries. And last night they barely, didn't have a lot of their starters. Bosa was out. Trent Williams was out. Purdy was a game-time decision. He wasn't good. Christian McCaffrey gets hurt during the game, so that's a PCL knee sprain or knee, whatever they're calling it, injury. And you might as well shut him down for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
It's just been kind of a lost year for McCaffrey. Kudos to him to go to Germany and try to get himself back on the field, but it's just not working.
Yeah, and obviously they have other running backs. It's not that in itself is not a death knell. Joey Bosa not being there is a total death knell. They're now 5-14 without him. So it's okay. I think it's really interesting. I'd like to see a lot of the young guys till the end of the year. See what you have and rebuild for next year. But you do, again, I know you're a little more down. You have Kyle Shanahan and you have Nick Bosa. Like, you have two major foundational pieces. I don't know what you do at quarterback. I don't really know what you do the rest of that defense. You got to bring back Salah, just get the party going again, just somehow generate some pressure, and you could be good again.
Where are they going to find a quarterback if it's not Purdy?
Well,
who's out there?
I mean, stick with Purdy. I don't want to pay $60 million, although the Niners seem to have infinite salary cap space because they keep signing everybody. They've signed everybody. But Debo will be gone. Trent Williams, I'm not sure Trent Williams comes back. He can't stay healthy. And then Kittle, either way, it doesn't matter. I do think there definitely are some pieces here. Fred Warner is like kind of old, but not old. There's a chance. I just think last time after they lost Super Bowl, they had a terrible next season. Nobody took them seriously coming into next year, and they were physically dominant the next two seasons. Is that ever going to happen again?
Yeah, that could happen again.
Yeah.
I just think I remember, I don't want to say a knee-jerk reaction because it didn't feel that way necessarily at the time, but they went to the Super Bowl. They lost. The next year was not good, and they traded up twice in the first round to try to get Trey Lance, and that didn't work out. They felt desperate. Are they going to feel desperate this time?
But that was because they thought Jimmy G is going to get hurt all the time. Now
you got Purdy, who's got a
that's
shoulder
what I
injury.
worry about. Are they going to be nervous about Purdy's shoulder?
855-212-4227.
Come contract time, you're about to give the guy $200 million. It's not a lower leg injury. It's a shoulder and a quarterback. And not a big quarterback either. He's tiny.
All right, let's hit it. Every NFL game in 60 seconds or less.
Maggie and Perloff take you around the league, recapping this weekend's football action. Time for NFL in 60.
Okay, we're going to stick with yesterday's games because
Thank
we've had
God.
a while to digest Thanksgiving and Black Friday. Manny just doesn't want us talking about his Giants.
Well, now we're going to talk about my sad, pathetic Jets here. Seahawks
Lucky
beat the
you.
Jets 26-21. A Leonard Williams pick six helped the Seahawks get back into this game.
I want to make this about the Seahawks, but this is really to me about the end of Rodgers and the end of Rodgers with this team. I have no idea about next year, but Rodgers, again, ball in your hands, one-score game. This was supposed to be the difference. He was supposed to be the difference in all these one-score close losses, Pearl. And they all would have flipped if only Rodgers. Well, they have Rodgers now, and you saw him with the game on his hand, and he couldn't do jack squat.
Yeah, I saw a stat from our buddy Peter Schrager. The Jets had 8 penalties in the fourth quarter. That it gutted them. I mean, they have a lot of problems with penalties. They are not a well-coached team.
Maybe they should fire their coach. Oh, wait a minute. That happened. They fired the coach and went 1-5 after.
Again, as awful as Rodgers is, like if you squint, imagine if that guy was healthy, they might win some games. That pick six was a bad idea. He was feeling himself.
To Leonard Williams, you think?
He was feeling himself. Like they looked like they were really rolling on Sunday. Sorry, Jets.
Let's move on. So let's go to L.A., where I go to Atlanta, where the Chargers beat the Falcons 17-13. 4 Cousins picks doom Atlanta.
I mean, the Chargers were desperately trying to lose this game. What was their total yardage? I think they had 174 yards of the game, and Ladd McConkey was about, 7/8 of that yardage. The Chargers are not good and keep winning games. Atlanta's got to bench Cousins immediately. There's nothing. There's no more time. It's done.
Wow, that's interesting because they technically are in the lead in the division, though. Because they own the head-to-head over Tampa, Tampa escapes with a win yesterday. It's possible the Falcons still win this division. Do you really change quarterbacks right now?
Oh, my God, yes.
I know they've lost 3 in a row, but...
In the last 3 games, he has 6 interceptions, no touchdowns. Also, it's not just his legs. I guess it is his legs. There's no velocity on the ball.
No, this was like the beginning of the year, remember, where it felt like he couldn't really get anything underneath and behind those throws. Feels like it now.
Yeah, those picks were just, I don't know. I know he's trying to make a play, but you got to be smart because the Chargers couldn't move the ball. He could have played much more conservatively and won that game.
Steelers clinch another non-losing season. They're now 9-3, 44-38 final score versus Cincy.
Yeah, 82 total points scored in this game. Did not see that coming, going to be honest. Big day for Russell Wilson, but I want to focus on the Cincinnati Bengals side of this. I know Burrow had 2 strip sacks yesterday and threw an interception, but Burrow's actually had a pretty good year. If you're talking about statistically, the defense has been so god-awful. This is the third straight game, where they've given up over 34 points. Brutal.
Can't win at all.
No.
Giving up that many points.
Absolutely not. So for me, it's going to have to be a total makeover on the defensive side. And I don't know if Zach Taylor's safe either.
Yeah, I would keep Zach Taylor because the offense looks awesome. And Jamar Chase, I know Burrow, by the way, is sneaky in the MVP conversation. His numbers are so good. Jamar Chase he's unstoppable. Great. 13 touchdowns this season. But I remember when my Eagles beat them 37-17, I'm like, wow, this defense is really not competitive. They don't have any guys there. They don't really spend. I think that you got to fire Lou Anarumo, and then you got to invest in this defense.
I'm going to be honest. They've got 9 guys on the defensive side of the ball who are top 100 picks. Something's wrong.
Yeah.
That is talent.
Wait. Who name 2 besides Geno Stone and Trey Hendrickson? Like, who's on there?
Osai, remember him from the
guy who hit the out of bounds hit?
Yeah, these guys are top 100 picks. That's what I got for you.
I would think that they got to be one of the cheapest defenses in the league. Who are they paying?
Apparently not good money.
They didn't keep our guy Jesse Bates. Anyway.
Let's go to Minnesota, where the Vikings hold serve, so to speak, against the Lions in the division. They're now still 1 game back after a comeback win over the Cardinals. Vikings 23, Arizona 22.
It is, in the 105-year history of the NFL, the softest 10-2 I've ever seen in my life. Like, they are just hanging around and, kind of winning these games. I saw a stat. They could go 15-2 and have the number 5 seed. It just is they're the most non-buzzy 10-2 team of all time. There's just no way around it.
Listen, I've said a lot of things about Sam Darnold on this show, and I don't regret any of them. But I have to say, 100 yards in the 4th quarter on a comeback win.
How many near interceptions? Was that an impressive game?
Well, I don't say impressive game. It was an impressive comeback drive where he throws a touchdown to Aaron Jones with 1:13 left.
He's that's like Ohio State. And I like Sam Darnold a lot more than you do. But you have Jordan Addison, awesome. Justin Jefferson, the best. And your other receivers and your tight ends are good too. He has got so many targets there. They should be. They can't keep messing around like this. They need to start winning more handily to convince anybody of anything.
Colts go for 2 to beat the Patriots 25-24 in Foxborough. We talked about that 68-yard field goal for New England falling just short.
I thought really impressive from Anthony Richardson to engineer the touchdown and then the 2-point conversion. I mean, I kind of treat Anthony Richardson almost like he's a rookie, kind of feels like that. So to get a win like that on the road, even if it's against the Patriots, who are not very good, but have a good quarterback, it looks like, in Drake May, I was impressed with Richardson. I feel like he normally throws a pick or has a fumble or something silly there, and he instead got the drive and got the 2-point conversion.
Love watching Anthony Richardson.
Yeah.
Let's look at his final box score here. 12 for 24, 109 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks.
How many yards were on that final drive? Probably most of that 100, right?
Also he used his legs. He just chucks it and chucks it and chucks it and has no prayer most of the time. It's awesome to watch. I mean, they're 6-7. If the Broncos lose, then they could be in the playoffs. They're not a good team. They're a very bad team. But I enjoy the heck out of Anthony Richardson.
This one was over before it began. Commanders washed the Titans 42-19.
Gonna be honest, didn't watch a lot of this game. Didn't have this one on my quad box because normally the Titans actually hold things close in the first quarter before a team pulls away. Not on this one, but I have a little bit of a warning here. This should not be why the Bears or someone else hires Cliff Kingsbury. Not because of what they do against the Titans. You can't get fooled because of a big lopsided win, Perloff, against a team that's probably mailed it in.
Well, we know Kingsbury. You know what you got with Kingsbury, though. He can play call. And you see it with Washington. Like, they generally, like, their offense, like, you know, the defense doesn't know what's coming some of the time. That's, like, a lot more. On the other hand, Brian Callahan in Tennessee feels like a strong one-and-done candidate.
Really?
I mean, if they can get somebody who's maybe tied to a quarterback, yeah, I think they'd get rid of him in a second. He looks totally lost on the sideline.
He's got Will Levis.
Right.
That was enough to get Mike Vrabel fired.
I mean, I think, honestly, that's a great Shador Dion destination. Feels like Nashville is Dion's kind of town. Man, he would own that with a cowboy hat. That'd be amazing.
Commanders. Let's go to Jacksonville, where the Texans won the game 23-20, but the fight was more of the story after the hit on Trevor Lawrence. Lawrence out with a concussion and in concussion protocol after a hit from Al-Shaair.
I think that was a big play. I think that completely changed the trajectory of Trevor Lawrence's future, and I think I think there's a big suspension coming. Here's my issue coming out of that. Like, the Texans feel like they should be a contender, but don't play like it.
No. Listen, they have some impressive wins, but it never feels like they've been dominant. They're dealing with a lot of injuries. Listen, this was just a terrible hit on Trevor Lawrence for him to get carted off the field like that. And on the flip side, Doug Peterson is just a terrible coach. I guess in some ways you get good. Mac Jones almost won you the game, but I just feel like Doug Peterson is completely out. I mean, he's going to probably be fired at the end of the year, and it feels like they weren't even really trying to win this game. They were just trying to keep it close.
Yeah, I mean, he'll definitely get fired. I guess the question, like, Jacksonville, should they fire him now or midseason? There's really no reason to, right?
I don't think there's a reason to fire him.
But I do feel like this is a very bleak franchise right now.
I think so, too. And if Lawrence is really hurt, it's going to make it even worse.
Yeah, Belichick is definitely not going there now.
The only silver lining is, do they have an outside shot at the number 1 overall pick again?
Jacksonville, they're in great position for the number 1 pick.
Yeah, right.
But
there's
they
not an
won't.
outside chance. They're like, I think, in pole position right now.
What good does that do? What's the difference?
Well, I'm just saying, if something's wrong with Lawrence, maybe you have a chance to start over again with Shador. You want to put yourself on the map. Shador Sanders will do that. Now, fast forwarding a little bit.
Get that King's ransom. And
they can't draft Shador Sanders. Get out of here. They have Trevor Lawrence under contract. I'm saying something's definitely wrong, but it's the kind of thing you have to see him play and get hurt. Wait, you think that they would give up on Trevor?
No, if Trevor Lawrence is really hurt now, I think he's going to come back from this concussion.
No, it's like Tua. He's not even as bad as Tua. Tua will never stop playing.
But there's a case that Miami should move on from him. And Tua's had more concussions now that we know of than Trevor Lawrence.
Right. Trevor is very much contractually tied to the Jaguars.
Let's go to Perloff's least favorite quarterback. Bryce Young almost pulled off a great comeback against the Buccaneers, but was screwed by OVO Chuba Hubbard, who claimed he loved Drake and then fumbled the football. Ironic? I think not. Buccaneers win 26-23.
Chuba Hubbard's awesome, by the way. Like, that being said, that guy just tore his soul out from him in the overtime. How about Baker Mayfield limping around, finding a way to win, like scrapping it up? I'm really in love with this Bucs team because they feel like they're like old men who are playing pickup basketball and just finding ways to get the W.
Yeah, Baker had to go in the tent for a little bit. Thought he tore his Achilles, he said, but it turns out he was okay. Was able to come back into the game. I think Bryce Young is making a strong case here that the Carolina Panthers are going to roll with him. And I think part of it next year, and part of that is I don't think there's great college quarterbacks that are coming to take his job. So it's possible that your friend, Andy Dalton, who by no fault of his own got into a car accident and lost his starting job because he couldn't play and Bryce Young did a little bit better, now he could have the job for at least the next season.
Right.
I'd be willing to make a show bet on that, by the way.
If the Panthers keep him and he's their starting quarterback week 1, where would you predict them out of 32 teams in the NFL?
Well, Listen, I'm not seeing.
I'll tell you where. 30 seconds.
It's the NFC South.
Yep.
What am I scared of?
I mean, it's amazing like how we've lowered the bar for this guy. He scores 23 points in a loss to the Bucks, a beat-up Bucks team. Todd Bowles' beat-up Bucks team, and like we're lionizing him. Give me a break.
Anyway, as I said, least favorite quarterback in the NFL. Let's go to Baltimore, which was the main event of this afternoon slate. Eagles beat the Ravens 24-19, 107 rushing yards and a touchdown from Saquon Barkley.
I mean, it's kind of hard. The big debate with the Eagles is who's like the real MVP. Is it Saquon? Amazing. Is it Lane Johnson? Can't win without him, the right tackle. Probably A.J. Brown. They're undefeated when he's in the lineup. Or is it Vic Fangio, whose defense is number one in the league? Incredible. It's just it's an embarrassment of riches. I just don't know how to answer this debate.
I know everyone's having that debate. Everyone. I can't stop hearing about it in bars from Topeka to Santa Clara. The defense is really good.
And is that the most crazy thing ever? I remember how much I hated this defense. Do you know how bad they were in defense last year? They were 26 overall at the end of the season, but the second half they were 32 and a distant 32. They were the worst defense in the league, and now they're a juggernaut. I don't know how it happened.
I have a thought. Has this crossed anyone else's mind? Not to be too conspiracy theory about this. Is it possible that Vic Fangio completely tanked his way out of Miami last year? Remember all the players were like, kick rocks. We couldn't wait to get rid of this guy. They thought he was going to be in Philadelphia. Then all of a sudden he signed with Miami, and it was too late for the Eagles to get him. And then he mails in a performance, basically, and now he's with the Eagles?
I mean, remember that Miami team, though. I think they were down 6 starters by week 12. I mean, who was on the field for the...
Well, but the players hated him, is what I'm saying. That was like just not a good fit. And I wonder if maybe he was just trying to get to Philly.
I don't think that's fair.
Left?
We have one more game left here. So we got to do Rams, Saints. Rams win 21-14. Puka Nacua scoring a touchdown in this one.
Brutal loss for the Saints because Taysom Hill was dominating that game. I know that sounds weird, but he was by far, he was the bully on the field. He gets hurt, and the Saints just lost that special sauce. You know, I was really high on the Rams as maybe emerging as a dark horse. It's thin. Like, I don't know I'm not sure what they're missing, but they kind of got a little lucky against the Saints. I don't know if I'm looking at them as like a real playoff contender. I did. I thought that they were going to win the NFC West and challenge the Lions.
Yeah,
now I'm not so sure.
Their offense just isn't explosive enough for something you might think of for Sean McVay.
Yeah. That's a good point.
I think that's what it is.
But also, too, I feel like the defense has these great young pass rushers, but you could probably run the ball on them. Jared Verse, amazing. Braden Fisk, amazing. They just don't feel like a dangerous team right now.
No, they could be a playoff team, but I don't think they're a dangerous team. I'll give you that.
They do have Stafford. It's tough. Derek Carr, by the way, threw some dimes yesterday.
You beat the Saints.
No, I'm saying Derek Carr for the Saints.
Yeah.
He threw some beautiful, beautiful passes. I'm curious how the rest of the NFL is looking at that guy and say, ooh, I might want him next year.
Everyone could have had him.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Everyone could have had him 2 injuries ago.
Well, remember the Jets? Like, EJ, remember the Jets were looking at Carr and Rodgers last year?
Joe Douglas said he would go to the Hall of Fame if he came to the Jets.
Derek Carr?
Yes. It was in some restaurant, I believe.
It was in a restaurant. It was an Italian restaurant near me in Jersey. You know, I got a question for you. If you could do it all over again, EJ, would you rather have Derek Carr or Aaron Rodgers?
1,000% Derek Carr.
That was the easiest question I've ever.
Not even close.
Well, Derek Carr missed most of last season too, didn't he? Or
No,
not most of.
He played a lot through that injury.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got hot at the end of last year.
Yeah. I mean, it'd just be very mediocre, but
You might be a playoff team.
might be a playoff team. Though I will say this again: Aaron Rodgers, as much as I can't stand this clown, elite tank commander, elite. Right
Well,
now, the tank is in, and we're flying down the standings. So Aaron Rodgers, keep throwing pick sixes, keep coming through small in the clutch, and we'll be just fine.
So here's the thing about if you had gone with Derek Carr, which obviously feels like ancient history now, would Hackett have been part of the equation?
No, probably not.
Probably not.
Good point. That's a plus.
Nate Hackett, I do not think would have been in the building. 855-212-4227. Okay, lots more to do, including what's Ryan Day's future at Ohio State after the Buckeyes blew it against Michigan. It's Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff. We just had a great conversation in the break. Next year's free agent quarterback class is straight fire. Russell Wilson, I want to see that. I want to see him go on a tour with private planes. I know you're saying Pittsburgh will re-sign him, but I saw somebody was tweeting, one of the NFL insiders said he'll be the top free agent quarterback. Why not take a shot on him, some team? Why not say, I know you like Pittsburgh. Why not? I'll give you $180 million for 3 years. Pittsburgh's not going to do that.
Okay, so I did a back of the envelope teams that are going to need a quarterback next year. And tell me if any of these situations are better than Pittsburgh.
Better than Pittsburgh for who?
For Russell Wilson.
But, okay.
Or for the top free agent.
But they're going to pay it. All right, go ahead.
We're talking about just if you want to try to win, right? Not if you just want to get paid. So the Giants and the Jets.
But no. That's not the question. Like, of course, those teams are not going to have a better chance of winning. Like, what if the Giants offered him $200 million? Go ahead.
I mean, how many $200 million contracts is Russell Wilson getting in his career? He's already gotten 2.
Keep going with your list. I want to hear them.
Giants, these are teams that will likely be looking for a quarterback next year.
Yeah, Rodgers is definitely coming back to the Jets, but go ahead.
Okay, well, this is just back of the envelope. The Giants and the Jets, the Cleveland Browns.
They can they afford a big contract?
The Titans.
No. The Browns are off. They can't pay him.
I'm just talking about who might need a quarterback, whether it's draft, whether it's free agency, just anyone who could be in the market. Because a lot of the other places are taken.
Okay.
Browns, I think we talked for a while about how they need to move on from Watson. You yourself said they should take the biggest dead cap hit in history.
But they won't be, dead cap hit. They won't be in the market. They can't be in any kind of market. But go ahead.
Okay. The Panthers, maybe, although I think Bryce Young's coming back.
No. The Panthers can't pay $200 million for Russell Wilson. Go ahead. Yeah.
The Saints, the Raiders, maybe the Seahawks.
Saints, interesting. Raiders, nah. Okay. And the Seahawks, they're not going Russell Wilson.
Right. This was not just Russell Wilson. This was teams who are in the market for a quarterback. Did I not say that? Not just Russell Wilson.
Oh, okay. Right. Well, yeah, but a lot of those teams are going to try and draft a guy too, even if there are not great options.
I guess this is my point.
Yeah.
I'm seeing a Russell Wilson commitment to the Steelers coming. Is where I'm going with that.
Oh, I see.
Because I'm trying to lay out that there's not a lot of great teams here. There's not a lot of great options here, like for either a free agent. If you're getting drafted, you're getting drafted. You don't have a shot. You don't have a choice.
I mean, I do think there will be some teams that are going to be considering throwing money around. The Titans, and if they can't get a quarterback, I think they definitely will. I think the Saints are right. They're probably going to go back in the free agency market. I don't even know. Is Carr under contract? What's the deal with like the bridge situations? Like teams that will draft a guy but might want an older guy there. Like where does Derek Carr go? Like whoever gets Cam Ward or whoever gets Shador will probably have another quarterback. I don't know. There are definitely going to be some teams that'll spend up here. I think the Giants, if they can't draft a quarterback, they're going to try and sign somebody, right? Who's their quarterback?
The Giants should definitely draft a quarterback. They'd be picking 3 right now if the draft was today.
Yeah, I mean, do you get a quarterback at 3?
I think so.
Who?
I don't know. Whoever is going to beyond Shador and Cam Ward, who's probably going to,
that'll be one,
well
2
in the draft process. No, it might not be 1 and 2 because Jacksonville, if they have the number 1 pick, we just said it, they're not going to.
Yeah. Anyway, no, I do think that someone's going to wine and dine Russ. I can't wait. It's going to be the best free agent tour. You don't think that he would be interested in that? That'd be just to get like that sort of attention.
No, I think he's going to be loyal to the Steelers.
Do you think the Steelers will pay up for him?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Also, he just signed a huge contract with the Denver Broncos, which he's getting every penny of. So maybe he doesn't take every dollar. Okay, if that didn't thoroughly confuse you. EJ had a hypothetical for me and for everyone.
This is really a Maggie-centric question here because the Bills are a team who do not need a starting quarterback. In fact, they have a team and a quarterback that's so good they could win a Super Bowl. But we know what's happened with the Bills in Super Bowls.
Yeah.
In order to play that game last night, they need their fans to go out in the stands and shovel snow.
Yeah.
My question to Maggie Gray is, what if I guaranteed you the Bills would win a Super Bowl, let's say in the next 15 years?
Okay.
But every time it snowed, you would have to shovel snow every time.
I personally would have to drive my ass to Buffalo and shovel the snow.
You have to find a way to get there But you're guaranteed you will have a Super Bowl. I can't give you like next year or this year because I need to be a surprise. You won't know
But
when
it's
it's
in
going
my
to happen.
lifetime.
But you will see the Bills win a Super Bowl.
Yeah. Yes, definitely.
You're shoveling snow every time. This is Buffalo. You know better than me.
Yeah, definitely. I grew up shoveling this snow. I've shoveled this snow. I got a really strong back because of shoveling all that snow.
Maggie, really think about what you're saying right now.
Manny, you went to college in Buffalo.
Yeah,
you know.
I know. That's why I'm trying to give you a warning, trying to get you a second out.
Of course I would do that.
God
Shoveling
bless.
snow, it's like taking out the garbage. It's just like something you have to do.
This is stadium snow, Maggie. This is going upstairs. This is snow. Some of the snow has been around for a little while. It's
Am I doing it alone? I'm the only one?
No, we'd have other people there. But you have to
I have
every
to dig
single
out the
time.
whole stadium.
Regardless of whatever you had planned for your weekend, it's got to be canceled. Whatever you got to do, every time it snows, you have to shovel the stadium.
Not even a question.
Wow.
That's the right call, Mag.
I'd sleep in the snow. I'll do whatever. I'll eat the snow. I'd eat the yellow snow. I really want my team to win a Super Bowl.
Come on, Maggie.
I'm just kidding.
Thank you for the drop, by the way.
It's my gift to you, Manny. Bogush has headlines.
Oh, do I? They are sponsored by PXG Golf. For high-quality, high-performance golf clubs, apparel that delivers style and comfort, premium golf balls, award-winning gloves, and more, make it a PXG holiday for the golfer in your life. Find the PXG store near you at pxg.com.
Curve to the left.
The only bad part of the Bills clinching the AFC East was that the final whistle came too late for a live treadmill reaction.
Yeah, finally.
Get that last finally in.
Yeah, I thought about it when McCaffrey was ripping off those big runs. I was like, oh, man, it's way too late for the treadmill.
The Bills plowing their way through the snow and the Niners for a 35-10 clincher. Sean McDermott happy to win the AFC East at home.
This is a place where people love their professional sports teams. They love sports overall. And it's a true connection to me that I've experienced in 8 years of the team and the fans are one.
Those Bills fans eating yellow snow in celebration after Josh Allen ran for a score and threw for two others, one of which was to himself. He threw a pass to Amari Cooper, flipped it back to Allen, who then ran and dove through the pylon for the point. Now, the game may have ended similarly, but something did change when the Niners lost Christian McCaffrey to a knee injury in the second quarter. They believe it's PCL, and it could be season-ending. So this is 7 straight wins now for those Bills. It's 8 in a row for the Eagles after forcing their way through Baltimore, a 24-19 victory. Another 100-yard game for Saquon Barkley.
We're really good at it. We're really good at a lot of things, but, you just got to keep trusting the system, keep trusting the guys up front. There's tremendous talents up there, and that's why I think the run game been popping in the second half.
I don't like saying this out loud, but this Eagles team is likable.
No, it's not.
It kind of is.
I thought you were going to say good.
No,
good is one thing. You think they're likable?
They're definitely good. Well,
seen their head coach?
I am going to bat for Saquon for forever. So every big Saquon game makes me feel good.
Who's the unlikable player there?
I mean, generally speaking, the Eagles are unlikable.
Right. But like you have to have at least one unlikable guy. I'm not sure they have that guy.
You've got Cooper DeJean and Reed Blankenship running around. Guys are flipping Derrick Henry. The sideline's going nuts.
The coach is hard to get behind.
That's fine.
Insufferable.
That's fine. Even Cam Jurgens is front and center on tush pushing. He was,
I think
we made him famous in August.
I think the hot take here is the reason why they're more likable is the center that was there last year is not there this year.
That's not true for me. I have no Jason Kelsey.
It is for me.
Yeah, but I mean, like 5 years ago, Kelsey wasn't a problem.
Everyone had, I think, no opinion with Kelsey, really.
Right,
outside
right.
Philadelphia. I think the fact that he's gone, I think, feels like a real team. It doesn't feel like a sideshow.
I think it's because everyone likes Saquon so much. I think he's such a smiley, fun, awesome guy that he transforms them.
There's a little part of this that feels like when the Lions fans were happy for Matthew Stafford. Bogush, what you're doing there as a Giant fan who's happy for Saquon. The problem is that the Lions were still like in a pretty good spot. Like they're great now. The Giants, like you're still really looking up at the surface.
And I mean, maybe that's part of the dynamic too, but this is 95% Saquon for me. Like him playing well.
Yeah.
And I wish it wasn't on the Eagles. But even with it in being on the Eagles, there's like something enjoyable about this for me. I would like it to end quickly with him staying healthy. But I'm watching that game yesterday. I'm like, I was a little jealous that you can root for that team. I think you still do. I don't know if that's going to change again and again and again.
Yeah, bandwagon.
But like they're a fun team right now.
Here's a question though. Yeah, that's all well and good, but every game there's a story, whether it's a sideline reporter or the announcers or whatever, about how Saquon is so much happier now and he's playing so much more free. Like, in some ways, it kind of feels like every time he does well, it's like rubbing it right in the Giants' faces, and you're okay with that.
Yeah, because the Giants deserve it.
Got it.
They deserve it. The franchise deserves this.
So
they
it's like
deserve
taking their
Leonard
medicine.
Williams running 92 yards on their field, not against them. They deserve huge Saquon games. They deserve all of this because they stink.
I think another factor is there's sort of a throwback to like when the star running back. Like I think when you get Jahmyr Gibbs against Saquon Barkley in the NFC title game, if that happened, I mean, like those are to me like two kids love those guys. I mean, Gibbs is ridiculous. Did you see that run he had on Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
I think like having these spectacular runners is really fun for NFL fans. It feels like the 80s.
Did you see
like when we were kids?
Did you see Jahmyr Gibbs give out state secrets? He had posted a TikTok and all the protections were behind it. Yeah. Written on the whiteboard and just posted it on TikTok.
And still totally lovable. The Lions are lovable too. I think those
That's a team that I can get behind, not those.
Yeah, even I am like kind of more into the Lions as a likable team. But Saquon, it transforms everything.
Since we last spoke, Texans linebacker Azeez Al-Shire has posted a social media apology to Trevor Lawrence. He says that he did not intend to injure Lawrence with his forearm to the head as the Jags QB slid. He said the slide came too late. He also understands why all of the Jaguars came to Lawrence's defense after the hit.
I'm sorry I did that to you, even though it was entirely your fault, and I didn't mean to do it.
Yep. He also said his intention is always to hit you as hard as possible, then hope that you get up. So, I mean, he's out there trying to make you feel something, but this is still different.
That's sort of a message to the league office, right? Saying, hey, sorry about that.
Yeah, of course. Trying to get ahead of any punishment.
Now he'll get fined $17,814.
Yeah, the most allowed by the CBA.
And he could just blow his nose right in that money because he doesn't mean anything to him.
West Virginia football fired head coach Neil Brown yesterday after just 37 wins over 6 seasons. Purdue dumped Ryan Walters after failing to win a Big Ten game this fall. Just 5 victories total for him in his 2 seasons. Both guys get $9 million on the way out. Victor Wembanyama still demanding apologies. 34 points, 13 rebounds, 11 assists in the Spurs' 127-125 win in Sacramento. LeBron and Anthony Davis combined for 60 in the Lakers' 105-104 win in Utah. James Harden had 39 as the Clippers topped the Nuggets, 126-122. And veteran righty Frankie Montas reportedly signing a 2-year, $34 million deal with the Mets. He can opt out after 1. Montas split last season with the Reds and Brewers, had a 4.84 ERA.
Yankee legend.
Guys, back to you.
We have a poll question up right now at Maggie and Pearl on Twitter. Should Ryan Day be fired by Ohio State after the season? We will answer that question for you next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Asking you on X at Maggie and Pearl, will Ryan Day be fired at the end of the year? I mean, this is tough. It's tough because you're a 3-touchdown favorite against Michigan. Michigan is down this year after winning the national title. Pearl, they were just terrible in the game, but now you're not playing in the Big Ten title game. You do have a little time here to regroup, get your act together. You're going to be playing in the college football playoff, and we should see they might get a favorable draw. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any non-favorable draw unless they play Oregon again. And they could do well. If he doesn't get to the title game, I'd say he's fired. I'd say the Final Four is a fire. They're the most expensive team, probably the most talented team. You can't play like that.
It's just interesting, though, because if they were to make it to the Final Four, that means they did kind of regroup and would have won a game in the college football playoff. So now you're going to fire a guy who could, after that bad loss, could actually rally the troops and get them,
I would, yeah.
like back in contention.
I definitely fire him. That's personally me. And I didn't think that until this game against Michigan because it really took – I kind of blame Chip Kelly too, but it took such bad coaching to lose this game because Michigan didn't have a quarterback. They didn't have Will Johnson. Like you really have so much talent. I mean, look at Ohio State. Look at the names. Caleb Downs, I was talking about, he could be a Heisman contender on the defense side of the ball.
And he came up with a huge interception.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Play.
JTT Sawyer on defense. And then, like, offense, it's like a dream team. Like, how they're not, they went a whole half scoreless against their arch rival at home. Yeah, no, I definitely think he will get fired, too. I think it's over.
Let's go to Andy, who's in Michigan. Andy, are you calling to gloat?
Kind of, but not really. So Perloff, according to you, Harbaugh would have been fired in year 4.
He got close.
Because
he was close.
You got it. Yes, but you got to think of it. Michigan hasn't been relevant in this rivalry for 13 years, and then finally Harbaugh pulls off a string of victories. So I mean, it's the ebbs and flows of the rivalry. Finally, Michigan's gotten back into relevancy, and they landed that big quarterback, and blah blah blah. You know, this is just going to go on and on. I think Ryan Day maybe has a short leash in the next couple of years, but he's going to be fine. There's nothing that he can do right now except win. And the more he wins in this season for the college football playoff, the more likely he's in, and he's in for probably the next couple of years.
Well, you say there are ebbs and flows. If they can't beat this Michigan team without a quarterback in Ohio State and without one of their top 2 defensive players, a defensive superstar, and one of their best offensive weapons, then when is the flow going to come? Like, it feels like this is nothing but an ebb. How's he going to beat them?
I don't know. But, I mean,
coaches,
Michigan has lost to them. Ryan Day laid a 50-burger on him in his first year.
Yeah, so, I mean, then Michigan got J.J. McCarthy and
getting ready for the game.
I think Ryan Day was tight in this one, Andy, and thank you. It is, massive win, and the fact is that Michigan did flip that recruit, Bryce Underwood, who was supposed to be going to LSU, is now going to be going to Michigan. I mean, he's from Detroit, so you think Michigan would have had the inside track on that one. But
yeah, but it's 2024. Who cares who signs where? Like, who's transferring where? That's more important in a sense.
We'll see, especially for Ohio State. What are they going to do at quarterback for next year is an interesting question. And the thing is about Ryan Day, I think that if he wins a game convincingly in the college football playoff and then, say, loses another tight one to an Oregon or something like that, I still think he might be safe. Might be. This was a tough one, though, to your point. If you're not going to beat this Michigan team, when are you going to beat Michigan again?
I don't know. I don't know if there's going to be an easier opportunity than this. It was just, it looked like a coaching loss, right? Like, he was out-coached by Sharon Moore, who isn't exactly been the best coach either for Michigan. I think actually Moore has got a little better as the season goes along.
I think this went a long way.
Yeah, now he's a great show. Are you kidding me? He's probably going to get a statue right next to Harbaugh after this win.
Waving goodbye to the crowd as the two teams are getting in a massive melee. We're going to give you a pick for tonight in just a moment, but Brian is in Vancouver, Washington. Hey, Brian.
Craig?
Oh, Craig. Hey, Craig.
Oh, fair enough.
Just Brian.
Just want to say, what a crazy pick 6 for Leonard Williams. I'm not going to call him Big Cat for some reason.
Yeah.
See him turn the game around like that and the Seahawks come back. Good time for me.
No, Craig, awesome play for Leonard Williams, who's played for both New York teams on that field, and they were both bad. And I think they call him Big Cat because he's big, but he's got good feet, right? And what are you doing?
He's got huge hair. Now he's wearing braids now, so you don't see it, but that was a big reason why too.
Yeah, I mean, this was a great moment for him.
Do you guys notice there was an undercurrent around the league about Ohio State and Michigan players giving each other crap on Sunday? I saw somebody was talking trash to JSN. Somebody was talking trash to Garrett Wilson. I don't even remember who. And then Terry McLaurin had to hold up a Michigan jersey after the Commanders won. It is funny to me that game. And then I was watching Football Night in America, and they actually they never showed college highlights. They showed that whole game. And because half the media either went to Michigan or Ohio State, it was that game definitely bled into NFL on Sunday.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Was there anything for Leonard Williams with Notre Dame, USC? No?
Oh, my God. That game was ridiculously stupid. USC is, they're just wasting our time. What are they doing, Mag?
All right, let's pick the game for tonight. This is an interesting one. Browns traveling to Denver to play the Broncos. EJ is telling me that the forecast in Denver is 41 degrees with clear skies, Perloff. And right now, the Denver Broncos are a 6-point favorite at home, over-under set at 42.
I like Cleveland to cover and lose or does it feel like Sean Payton is going to be in some sort of close, weird game situation here? And it's going to be at the end of the game. He's going to be looking baffled at his sideline like somebody else did something wrong.
All right, that's oddly specific. I also like the Browns to cover, but the only thing that's giving me pause is a Jameis Winston late pick 6. I could see that as well.
Oh, yeah. It's definitely coming down the last play.
Yeah, I'm going to go against you then. I'll lay the 6 with Denver, and we'll see who's right tomorrow. Thank you to EJ Stewart. Thank you to Manny Rodriguez, to Andrew Bogish and Andrew Kaplan, the Weedos, the coffee drinkers. You know who you are. I'd eat the yellow snow.